You've been taught that control is the key to life. Hold on tight, plan every step, fight against the current to get where you want. But if that were true, why do so many people who work so hard, who hustle every day, still feel exhausted, lost, and empty? Why do you still feel like you're swimming against the tide, caught in a loop of stress, always pushing, never truly at peace? The truth is, peace doesn't come from holding on, it comes from letting go. It's about trusting the flow of life, surrendering to the journey instead of fighting it. Buddhism has known this secret for centuries. The teachings on trust and non-resistance show us that the more we fight, the harder life becomes. But when we stop resisting, we begin to flow with life. We find peace, clarity, and freedom. Tonight, as you listen to these lessons, something will shift. The weight you carry will feel lighter. You'll start to see that the struggle isn't the answer, and that letting go is the key to finding your way home. This isn't just another moment to pass by, it's a turning point. Are you ready to stop fighting and start trusting the flow? Let's begin. As you start to see life's struggles in a new light, it becomes clear that the constant battle you feel is unnecessary. It's a fight with something that doesn't need to be fought. But how does this happen? How do we break free from the cycle of resistance, stress, and overthinking? The answer lies in yielding, a concept that not only changes how we approach life, but how we experience it. So, let's talk about yielding, not giving up, but rather understanding that there is power in surrender. The more we cling to control, the more we hold ourselves back. But when we stop trying to force our way and start allowing ourselves to go with the flow, life becomes easier. We live in a world that teaches us to fight, to push, to take control. We think that happiness and success come through sheer will, by staying on top of everything, by not letting go. But the truth is, constantly battling the current wears us down. We become exhausted, caught in cycles of doubt and frustration. Resistance doesn't make us stronger, it makes us tired. But when we start yielding, things shift. Instead of fighting against the current, we begin to move with it. This is where effortless transformation begins. The power of yielding isn't in the absence of effort, but in knowing when to stop fighting. In life, we don't need to struggle for everything we want. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is trust in the flow and let things unfold naturally. Letting go doesn't mean we lose control. It means we stop trying to control everything. It's a subtle shift in mindset, where we allow ourselves to be open to what comes next, rather than forcing what we think should happen. This shift changes everything. By yielding, we tap into a natural rhythm that flows through everything. We become aligned with life instead of battling against it. We stop feeling the weight of constant struggle and instead find ourselves moving forward effortlessly, naturally, and with a sense of ease that we never thought possible. There's a hidden power in this state of yielding, something that allows us to glide through life, free from unnecessary pressure. It's not about giving up or letting go of our goals. It's about understanding that there is a larger force at work. Life, nature, and the universe have their own rhythm. When we stop trying to force our will onto them, we find ourselves in sync with something greater than ourselves. This flow isn't just something that happens in grand moments. It's in every day, in every small choice we make to trust the process. The beauty of yielding is that it lets us experience life fully, without the weight of constant resistance. It frees us from the pressure to constantly control every outcome and gives us the ability to be present in each moment, no matter how uncertain or chaotic life may seem. The act of yielding allows us to step into the current of life, where we no longer need to control the direction, but instead trust that we are going exactly where we need to go. It's the freedom to release the need for answers, to let go of what we think we should be doing, and to step into the unknown with confidence and trust. There's something transformative about this approach to life. When we yield, we stop fighting against the current and start trusting it. In this trust, we find true power. The hidden power of yielding is not weakness. It is the strength to allow life to unfold as it is meant to move with it instead of against it, and to find peace in the process. It's the strength to trust in the flow of life and know that we are being carried exactly where we need to go. As you embrace this way of living, you'll begin to see that you are no longer working against the current, but flowing with it. The resistance that once felt like a weight will begin to dissolve, replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. Life won't feel like a constant battle anymore. Instead, it will feel like a journey that you are fully present for, one that you can trust without needing to know every step ahead. When you start yielding to life's currents, you open yourself up to the effortless transformation that comes from allowing things to flow naturally. The struggles that once felt insurmountable become easier to navigate. The constant search for control no longer holds the same power over you. You are free to move with life, embracing its unpredictability with trust and confidence. At this point, you might start to realize that the more you let go, the more you are able to receive. When you stop trying to force things into place, you create space for the right opportunities, people, and experiences to enter your life. Yielding doesn't mean you stop living intentionally. It means you stop forcing outcomes. You start trusting that things are unfolding exactly as they need to, even when you don't have all the answers. The power of yielding is the ability to step back and let life come to you. It's not passive, it's a choice to trust, to allow, and to embrace what comes next. It's a willingness to stop struggling, to stop overthinking, and to simply be present. This is the kind of mental strength that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and ease. Instead of constantly pushing forward, you begin to move forward naturally, in harmony with the flow of life. This creates a sense of balance, a balance between effort and surrender, between doing and being. You'll begin to see that you don't need to control every aspect of your life to get what you want. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is trust that everything will unfold in its own time. This way of living creates a profound sense of inner peace. The constant pressure you once felt to make everything happen disappears. Life doesn't feel like a race anymore. It feels like a journey, one that you can trust without rushing, without forcing, and without struggling. You start to realize that the power isn't in fighting against life's current, it's in letting go, in trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. And in that trust, you find a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. You stop chasing happiness and start living it. You stop trying to control your path and start walking it with confidence, knowing that each step is guided by the flow of life itself. And with that, you come home, not to a place, but to a state of mind where peace, clarity, and trust are your constant companions, where the struggle fades away and life's rhythm becomes your own. The truth is, the more you yield to life's flow, the more you'll realize that you are exactly where you need to be. You don't have to struggle to find happiness, success, or peace. These things are already within you, waiting for you to stop resisting and start trusting the flow. The hidden power of yielding isn't just about letting go. It's about letting life carry you home. Letting go of resistance allows you to move forward with ease. Life will no longer feel like a series of obstacles to overcome. Instead, it becomes an experience of natural unfolding, of gentle progress, of alignment with the universe. This is where you find peace, where you find freedom, and where you find your true self. In yielding, you are not giving up on your goals or your dreams. You are simply trusting the process. You are embracing the natural rhythm of life and allowing it to guide you. And in doing so, you unlock a power that is far greater than anything control or resistance can offer. It's the power of trust, the power of flow, and the power of living fully, exactly as you are meant to. This is the journey of effortless transformation. By yielding to life, you unlock the path to a peaceful, fulfilled existence, one that is not defined by struggle, but by trust. And as you continue down this path, you'll begin to realize that everything you need has been there all along, waiting for you to stop fighting and start flowing. As you begin to let go of resistance, you might find yourself asking, "What now?" The idea of yielding may seem strange or even unsettling at first. After all, doesn't letting go mean losing control? Isn't control something we need to navigate the world? But the more you trust life's flow, the more you start to realize something crucial. The balance between surrendering and staying in control isn't as far apart as it seems. In fact, there's a concept that helps bridge this gap, a concept that has been studied, practiced, and cherished for centuries. It's known as Wu Wei. Wu Wei, though a principle from Taoism, deeply complements Buddhist teachings. It's the art of non-action, not in the sense of doing nothing, but in the sense of acting in harmony with the natural flow of the universe, allowing things to unfold without force. This idea doesn't negate effort or involvement, but it urges us to act with an understanding that we are not alone in our journey. Life is a dance, a rhythm, and to truly participate, we must be aware of when to move and when to step back. In Buddhism, as in Taoism, the concept of non-resistance is paramount. But this doesn't mean being passive or weak. Instead, it means cultivating a deep understanding of when to yield and when to engage, always mindful that the universe has its own timing and that the flow is something we can learn to ride rather than fight against. When we talk about Wu Wei, we're not speaking of an absence of action. On the contrary, we are speaking of an action that flows effortlessly, one that requires no force. This kind of action comes from alignment, from understanding that true control lies in trusting the natural course of things. Buddhism teaches us that resisting the present moment creates suffering. This is where the teachings on Wu Wei resonate so strongly. When you stop resisting, when you let go of the impulse to control every situation, life unfolds with grace and ease. This does not mean you abandon responsibility or disengage from the world. On the contrary, it means you engage with life in a way that is fluid, spontaneous, and harmonious. The beauty of Wu Wei is that it shows us how to live without tension. It's about not forcing things, but allowing them to happen naturally. When you allow things to come to you, instead of pushing or forcing your will on them, they unfold with ease. This is where the practice of non-action becomes a tool for profound wisdom. Non-action isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what is necessary without over-efforting, understanding that everything happens in its own time. This approach, deeply rooted in both Taoism and Buddhism, encourages us to trust the process of life. It teaches us that trying to force an outcome is often what stands in the way of success. The more we let go of control, the more things naturally fall into place. This is the paradox of Wu Wei. The less we try to control, the more control we actually have. It's the ultimate freedom to be in the moment, without resistance and without the constant burden of needing to make things happen. In many ways, Wu Wei invites us to step into a state of grace. By letting go of control, we stop forcing our will onto the universe. In doing so, we align ourselves with its natural rhythms. It's like learning to walk in rhythm with the world around us, synchronizing our actions with the flow of life instead of fighting against it. This doesn't require us to lose ourselves, but rather to find our place in the great dance of the universe. The more we let go, the more we realize that we are never truly alone, and that everything we need is already here, unfolding as it should. You might wonder how this works in practice. How does Wu Wei manifest in our daily lives? It begins by releasing the need for things to go a specific way, and by acknowledging that we can't control every situation. True power comes not from forcing outcomes, but from trusting that life will unfold as it should. We are not passive participants, but active beings engaged in life, aware of the natural flow and stepping in when we're meant to, without forcing anything. There's an inherent peace in this practice. When we stop striving for something we think we need and start accepting what is, we open ourselves to a deeper peace. Wu Wei teaches us that the art of living well is about living without unnecessary struggle. It's about letting go of tension and trusting that things will come when the time is right. This sense of calmness, of surrender, isn't weakness. It's the deepest form of wisdom. And just like Buddhism encourages us to trust the process of life, Wu Wei invites us to trust the process of ourselves. It's about letting go of the ego's need to control everything and allowing the natural flow of life to guide us. The more we learn to flow with life's natural currents, the more we realize that we are aligned with something far greater than ourselves. In both Taoism and Buddhism, the lesson is clear. Effortless action is not inaction, but in being in tune with the world around us. The more we practice non-resistance, the more we notice how effortlessly we can move through life, taking action only when it's necessary and letting go of the need to control everything else. This is how we stop struggling, how we step out of the chaos and into a state of natural flow. The more we yield, the more we realize how much more power we have than we ever imagined. There's a wisdom in non-action that frees us from the exhausting cycles of striving. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing the right thing at the right time, without pushing or forcing. It's about trusting that by yielding to life's natural flow, we will reach our destination without the unnecessary burden of resistance. The flow will carry us gently, naturally, effortlessly, exactly where we need to go. Through this practice, we begin to see that the universe isn't something we need to fight. We don't have to battle against life's difficulties or struggles. Instead, we learn to ride the wave of uncertainty, letting go of the need to control each outcome. This is the essence of Wu Wei. It's not about doing nothing, but about aligning ourselves with the natural order of the world, stepping into the flow and allowing things to unfold as they should. This is where the true magic lies: effortless transformation through surrender. It's difficult at first to trust that letting go of control can actually give us more control. But when we see that life is constantly flowing, moving, and changing, we realize that resisting this flow only keeps us stuck. The key is not to fight against it, but to yield, just enough to allow it to carry us forward without getting caught in the undercurrent. When you begin to practice Wu Wei, you will start noticing how much more natural your life becomes. The actions you take will feel less like efforts and more like movements that come from the heart, from your intuition, from the flow of life itself. The more you let go, the more things will seem to fall into place. You'll understand that true control isn't in pushing for what you want, but in trusting that what is meant for you will come to you naturally. Letting go of the need for control doesn't mean you stop living with intention or purpose. Instead, it allows you to live with more awareness, more presence in each moment. You become more aligned with your true self and with the world around you. There's a deeper connection, a more profound understanding of life that comes from embracing Wu Wei. This connection creates a sense of inner peace, knowing that you are part of something much bigger than yourself and that everything you need is already unfolding as it should. By yielding in the way Wu Wei teaches, we begin to realize that life isn't a battle to be won. It's a dance to be danced, a current to be ridden. We may not control everything that happens, but by yielding, we start moving with the flow, trusting it to carry us where we need to go. This is where we find true power, the power of non-resistance, the power of trust, and the power of Wu Wei. In letting go, we find a peace that we never thought possible. A peace that comes from understanding that life is not something we need to fight against, but something we can flow with. And in doing so, we find that we are exactly where we need to be, exactly when we need to be there. The flow doesn't demand anything from us but trust. And when we give it that trust, we find ourselves moving through life more gracefully than ever before. This concept of Wu Wei, of letting go without losing control, isn't about losing ourselves. It's about finding our truest, most natural self. It's about trusting life's process, and in that trust, we experience life more deeply, more fully, and with a peace that comes from being in harmony with the world around us. The key takeaway here is that the universe, life itself, is constantly moving, constantly shifting. Our only task is to yield, to stop resisting, to stop fighting, and to start trusting that everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. When we stop trying to force outcomes and instead yield to life's flow, we find that we are in complete alignment with the world around us, and everything we need will naturally come to us. Letting go is not weakness, it's power. As you begin to yield to life's natural flow, you may find yourself stepping into unfamiliar territory, spaces that feel empty, undefined, or uncertain. These are the voids of life, places where there is no clear direction or control, where the future isn't mapped out in front of you. But what if these spaces, far from being places of fear or confusion, are actually the gateway to something much greater? What if embracing the unknown could be the key to trusting in something far bigger than yourself? Trusting the void, the unseen forces that guide us, requires a different kind of courage. It's the courage to surrender to what we can't see, to step into uncertainty without the need to control every outcome. These are the moments when you stop trying to force your way and allow yourself to be carried, knowing that the path is being carved for you in ways you can't yet understand. Surrendering to the void doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that there is a greater intelligence at work, guiding you even when the way isn't clear. In life, we are constantly confronted by spaces of emptiness, times of transition, moments of doubt, periods when things seem to be standing still. These are often the times we feel most vulnerable. We struggle with the void because we don't like uncertainty. We crave control. We fear what we cannot understand. But it is exactly in these empty spaces that true growth begins. When we learn to let go of the need to control what comes next and allow ourselves to trust the process, we open ourselves up to the wisdom and guidance that comes from surrendering. Buddhist teachings are filled with references to the impermanence of life, the recognition that everything is in constant flux. The void is a natural part of this cycle, something we must learn to accept and trust. It is a space where we cannot see the end or the outcome, but it is also the place where transformation happens. The key to navigating this uncertainty is not to fight it, but to surrender to it, trusting that the universe has a plan for us, even when we cannot yet see it. When we learn to trust the void, we let go of the idea that we must always know what comes next. We stop needing to have every step of our journey outlined, and instead, we learn to move forward with faith. Trusting the void isn't about being passive. It's about actively releasing control and stepping into the unknown with a sense of peace, knowing that the void itself is full of possibility. It's in this space where creativity, inspiration, and growth come to life. It's where the unseen forces of the universe can guide us in ways that our own limited understanding cannot. The unknown can be unsettling, but it is also where the magic of life unfolds. When we surrender to the uncertainty, we invite trust to become our guide. It's through this act of surrender that we allow ourselves to receive the guidance and wisdom we need. We stop forcing, stop pushing, and instead let life's currents carry us in the direction we are meant to go. This trust is not blind. It's grounded in the recognition that life has its own rhythm, its own natural flow. The more we align ourselves with that flow, the more we realize that the void is not a place of emptiness, but a place of unseen potential. It's where we are led by forces beyond our comprehension, forces that, when trusted, guide us to exactly where we need to be. There is a certain kind of peace that comes with letting go of the need for answers. When we stop trying to fill every gap with certainty and begin to embrace the beauty of the unknown, we open ourselves to new experiences, new wisdom, and new opportunities. These empty spaces are not places to fear. They are places where the universe can meet us halfway. Trusting the void is also about embracing patience. It is about sitting with the discomfort of not knowing, understanding that clarity will come in its own time. Trusting the void means giving ourselves the grace to be where we are without the constant need to rush toward a destination. It's about accepting the present moment, however unclear it may seem, and allowing the natural unfolding of life to reveal its next step. In Buddhist practice, there is an emphasis on letting go of attachment, not just to things, but also to outcomes. The void is the perfect space for practicing non-attachment because it requires us to let go of our need for control and certainty. When we release our attachment to a specific outcome, we free ourselves to experience life as it is, rather than how we think it should be. The void is also a place of quiet transformation. When we trust it, we begin to understand that it is not empty, but full of potential. It is the space between thoughts, between actions, between the past and the future. It is where we find the space to breathe, to reflect, and to allow our next steps to come naturally. It's where we make room for what is yet to come, trusting that the path will reveal itself as we move forward. There is power in the unknown. We often resist it because we believe we need to know everything, to plan everything. But the truth is, when we give ourselves permission to step into the void, we stop fighting against life's natural flow and allow ourselves to be guided by something greater. The unseen forces that we surrender to are not random. They are part of a larger pattern that connects everything. This concept isn't just about surrendering to life's challenges, but also surrendering to its mysteries. Life's mysteries are not something to be feared. They are the spaces where we discover new wisdom, new opportunities, and new experiences. The void invites us to trust that we don't need to understand everything right now. Instead, we need to trust the process, knowing that everything will unfold as it should. As you continue on your journey, you'll begin to see that the void is not a place of emptiness, but of rich possibility. The more you trust it, the more you realize that it is not empty at all. It is full of potential, full of wisdom, and full of the unseen forces that are guiding you. By embracing the void, you allow these forces to work in your favor. Trusting the void doesn't mean being passive or complacent. It means being willing to surrender your need to control, to release the tension that comes from holding on to outcomes, and to trust that the path will reveal itself. The more we trust this process, the more we align ourselves with the natural order of life. We learn that the space between is just as important as the destination itself. This is where divine guidance comes into play. The void is where we learn to listen, not to the noise around us, but to the whispers of the universe. It's in the quiet, uncertain moments that we receive the answers we've been seeking, not because we've forced them, but because we've allowed them to come in their own time. This is how we begin to trust the unseen forces that guide us, by allowing them the space to work. Life often feels uncertain, but the beauty of trusting the void is that it teaches us how to embrace uncertainty without fear. When we trust that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should, we release the anxiety that comes with trying to control the unknown. This is how we move forward with faith. Faith that we are being led by something greater than ourselves, something that knows exactly what we need and when we need it. The void, then, is not something to be filled with answers or control. It's a space to be filled with trust. Trust in life. Trust in yourself. Trust in the unseen forces that are guiding you, even when you can't yet see where they're leading. As you surrender to the void, you realize that it is not a space of nothingness, but of great potential. A potential that is available to all who are willing to trust the process, let go of the need for control, and embrace the mystery of life with open arms. Letting go of the need to fill the void with certainty opens us to a deeper trust in the unknown. It's in these empty, uncertain spaces that life's most profound wisdom is often found. It's in surrendering to what we can't see that we begin to uncover the hidden truths and paths that have always been there, waiting for us to trust them. When we do, we find ourselves guided by the unseen forces that are always working in our favor, leading us exactly where we need to go. By learning to trust the void, we invite divine guidance into our lives. It's in these quiet moments of surrender that we are able to hear the whispers of the universe, guiding us toward the next step on our journey. This trust opens the door to a life of alignment, where we are no longer trying to force our way, but instead allowing life to carry us exactly where we are meant to be. As you learn to trust the void and surrender to the unseen forces guiding you, a deeper realization begins to surface, one that shifts your understanding of life itself. This realization revolves around the concept of impermanence, the understanding that everything changes, nothing stays the same, and that peace comes not from resisting these changes, but from embracing them. The Zen teachings on uncertainty and the Buddhist idea of anicca, the impermanent nature of all things, offer a profound way to not only accept life's fleeting nature, but to find peace in it. The key to unlocking this peace is simple. Let go of the need for permanence. Life is constantly moving. What we often try to hold on to, whether it's a particular moment, a relationship, or even a state of mind, is bound to change. This constant change can be unsettling. We cling to the hope that if we could just find something permanent, something unchanging, we would find peace. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go. And the more we hold tightly to the idea of permanence, the more we create internal conflict with the very nature of existence itself. The Zen of uncertainty teaches us that peace comes from embracing the unknown, understanding that change is not something to fear, but something to trust. Every moment, every relationship, and every experience is impermanent, but that doesn't mean they lack value. In fact, it is their fleeting nature that makes them precious. The more we surrender the need for things to stay the same, the more we can live freely in the present moment. This is a radical shift. We are taught by society to seek stability, security, and permanence. We chase the dream of a perfect life, a perfect job, or a perfect relationship. But the reality is that nothing in life is perfect, and nothing in life stays the same. By holding on to the idea of permanence, we inadvertently create a source of suffering. We struggle against the natural flow of life, trying to control what is beyond our control. In Buddhism, the teaching of anicca is central. Everything is in constant flux. Nothing lasts forever, and everything is subject to change. This isn't something to mourn, it's something to celebrate. Change is the very fabric of life. It brings growth, transformation, and new possibilities. But to experience the peace that comes with this understanding, we must first release the need to control life's outcomes. When we let go of the desire to freeze moments, we start to live more fully in them. True peace comes when we accept that uncertainty is a part of life. Life doesn't always unfold according to our plans or expectations. This doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for goals or have intentions, but it does mean that we must learn to adapt and trust that the unfolding will happen as it needs to. The more we accept that the present moment is all we can truly control, the more peace we find in our lives. And this doesn't mean giving up on our goals. It means letting go of attachment to outcomes. It's about being in the flow of life, trusting that everything that happens is part of our unique journey. The Zen of uncertainty teaches us to embrace the present as it is, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. By focusing on what is happening now, we are able to experience life with clarity and awareness. We begin to see that every moment is new, every experience is fresh, and everything has value because of its fleeting nature. When we let go of the need to control life's direction, we open ourselves up to the richness of the present moment. This doesn't mean that we won't face hardship or challenges. In fact, it's the very challenges we face that make life so meaningful. It's through uncertainty and difficulty that we grow. When we stop trying to avoid discomfort and instead learn to accept it as a natural part of the journey, we find peace in the midst of chaos. We learn to ride the waves of life instead of constantly trying to steer them. As we surrender our attachment to permanence, we begin to see the beauty in impermanence. We realize that life is not about clinging to moments or experiences, but about experiencing them fully as they come. Every change, every shift, and every transition is an opportunity to embrace life as it is, without the pressure to make it fit into a specific mold. When we accept change as inevitable, we can let go of the resistance that creates suffering and open ourselves to the joy of life's natural flow. The more we embrace uncertainty, the more we begin to see the interconnectedness of all things. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is in flux, connected by a web of causes and effects. The impermanence of life is not something to fear. It is something to appreciate. It allows us to live more freely, more authentically, and more fully in the present moment. When we embrace the unknown, we realize that everything is temporary, and in this knowledge, we find peace. This Zen approach to life teaches us that trusting impermanence is a key to emotional freedom. When we stop trying to hold on to things, we let go of the mental burden of control and attachment. We stop living in fear of loss and instead begin to appreciate the fleeting nature of everything around us. This allows us to find balance even in moments of uncertainty, to remain grounded and centered no matter what life throws our way. The practice of accepting impermanence does not mean we stop caring about the things and people in our lives. Quite the opposite. It allows us to care more deeply because we understand that everything is temporary, that every moment is precious. The beauty of impermanence lies in its ability to remind us that life is fleeting, and this gives each moment an incredible value. By embracing uncertainty and change, we unlock the ability to live more fully, to be more present, and to appreciate the richness of life as it is, not as we think it should be. True inner peace is not found in the absence of change, but in our acceptance of it. The more we resist change, the more we create tension and discomfort in our minds and bodies. But when we stop resisting the uncertainty of life and instead flow with it, we start to experience the kind of peace that comes from embracing life as it is, in all its complexity and unpredictability. In Buddhist teachings, the idea of letting go is central to spiritual practice. This isn't about giving up, it's about releasing our need to control the world around us. It's about releasing the attachment to outcomes and accepting that everything in life is temporary. When we accept the impermanent nature of life, we free ourselves from the weight of expectation and fear. We begin to see that uncertainty is not something to avoid, but something to welcome, because it's through uncertainty that we discover the depth of life's beauty. This radical shift in perspective allows us to move through life with a sense of peace and equanimity. We stop fighting against the natural flow of things and instead become part of that flow. We stop searching for permanent answers and start embracing the wisdom that comes from living in the present moment. With each passing moment, we come closer to inner peace, not by trying to hold on to the past or control the future, but by embracing the impermanence of it all. When we surrender the need for permanence, we open ourselves to a life that is more fluid, more flexible, and more in tune with the natural rhythms of existence. The peace we seek is not in avoiding change or controlling it, but in embracing the uncertainty that life presents. It is in this space of acceptance, of being present in the moment, that we find true peace, a peace that comes from knowing that everything is temporary, and in this transience we can find the depth and beauty of life. By learning to trust the impermanence of life, we discover a freedom that allows us to be fully alive in the present moment. Instead of living in fear of change or loss, we learn to embrace them, knowing that they are as natural as the breaths we take. This is where Zen wisdom meets the reality of our lives. The key to peace is in accepting impermanence, in trusting that nothing lasts forever, and in seeing the beauty of life's fleeting nature. This journey toward peace is not about finding certainty. It's about finding peace in uncertainty. It's about recognizing that life, in all its change, is perfect exactly as it is. And when we let go of the need for things to stay the same, we can finally experience life as it was meant to be, free, fluid, and filled with the peace that comes from surrendering to the unknown. As you embrace the impermanence of life, a deeper challenge begins to emerge. The more you trust the flow, the more you realize that life isn't something to be controlled. It's something to be surrendered to. But what happens when you must take that first step into the unknown? When the natural flow asks you to let go completely and trust that what lies ahead is exactly where you need to go, even though you have no idea where it leads. This is where the real test lies. Trusting the unknown requires a radical shift in mindset, one that goes beyond simply accepting change and moves into the realm of active surrender, a leap of faith that demands courage and commitment. For many of us, the unknown can feel like a vast, dark void. It is precisely in this space where trust becomes essential. We are so often conditioned to seek certainty and security, to plan every step ahead, and to control every aspect of our lives. Yet, life continually unfolds in ways we cannot predict. The more we try to control the outcome, the more we find ourselves stuck in cycles of fear and resistance. The great leap of faith is not about simply letting go of what we know. It's about surrendering to what we cannot see, knowing that life has its own wisdom, its own flow, and its own timing. Letting go and stepping into the unknown can feel terrifying, but it is also incredibly liberating. The act of letting go is a form of courage. It's a willingness to accept uncertainty and to trust that even though we cannot see the entire path, we are exactly where we need to be. We often think of faith as something passive, something that just happens when we believe in something greater than ourselves. But faith is also an active practice. It's the choice to take a step into the unknown, even when the future is unclear. It's an act of boldness, choosing to move forward despite the fear of what may come. This leap of faith doesn't require perfection, nor does it guarantee immediate answers or success. In fact, it often feels like a leap into darkness, where all we have is the trust that life will guide us. This is the part where the real discovery happens, the journey from certainty into unexplored territory. Every step into the unknown is an opportunity to let go of what no longer serves us, to release old patterns, fears, and attachments that have kept us stuck in cycles of resistance. As you step into the unknown, you are asked not to have all the answers, not to predict the outcome, but to trust that the process will reveal itself as you go. The true nature of trust is revealed when we have no guarantees, when we can't see the road ahead, but decide to take a step anyway. This act of letting go becomes an act of discovery, as we allow ourselves to be guided by forces beyond our comprehension. We begin to see that the unknown is not a place of chaos, but a place full of potential and possibility. Each leap of faith demands us to confront our deepest fears: fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of being vulnerable. But what happens when we release these fears? We realize that they are not permanent, that they only exist as long as we hold on to them. By letting go of these fears, we make room for new experiences, new opportunities, and new ways of being. The great leap is not about waiting for everything to be perfect before we act. It's about trusting that everything we need will come when we take that first step into uncertainty. There is a paradox here. The more we let go, the more we find ourselves moving forward. The act of surrendering isn't about falling behind or losing control. It's about finding a deeper connection with life's flow. It's about trusting that, by releasing our need to control, we align ourselves with the energy of the universe, which is always in motion, always unfolding in perfect harmony. In letting go, we are not falling into chaos. We are aligning ourselves with the natural order of the universe, which is always evolving, always expanding. This leap of faith is also an act of self-trust. It's about trusting that even when we can't see where we're going, we have the inner strength to navigate whatever comes our way. It's easy to trust when things are predictable, when we can see the outcome of our efforts. But the true test of trust comes when there are no guarantees, when we are walking into the unknown with only our inner compass to guide us. The more we trust ourselves in these moments, the more we realize that we are capable of handling whatever life presents us with. This is the true power of letting go. It allows us to tap into our own inner resilience, our own capacity to adapt, grow, and thrive in the face of uncertainty. The great leap of faith also forces us to confront our relationship with failure. For many of us, failure is the ultimate fear. We fear that if we let go, if we take that leap, We might fall short. We might make a mistake. But the truth is, failure is not something to be feared. It is an essential part of the journey. Every leap into the unknown is an opportunity for growth, for learning, for discovery. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of success. When we let go of our fear of failure, we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that lie beyond our current understanding. As we continue on this journey of letting go and stepping into the unknown, we realize that life is not a straight path. It's a series of twists and turns, ups and downs, each step leading us to deeper levels of understanding. The more we trust the flow of life, the more we begin to see that there is no wrong path. Every step we take, no matter how uncertain or difficult, is part of our personal evolution. The more we let go of the need to control, the more we discover that the journey itself is the destination. The beauty of this leap of faith is that it opens us to a deeper experience of being alive. Life is not about reaching a specific point or achieving a particular goal. It's about the process, the experience, the growth that happens along the way. Each step we take into the unknown is an invitation to be fully present in the moment, to let go of the past and the future, and to embrace the now. This radical trust is what allows us to move through life with grace, with ease, and with a deep sense of peace. It's the trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even when we can't see how it will all turn out. The more we let go, the more we realize that life is not something we need to fight against. It is something we need to trust. The more we trust, the more we find ourselves being guided toward the exact experiences, people, and opportunities we need to grow. Every time we take a leap of faith, we are creating a new reality for ourselves. We are breaking free from the limitations of our old way of thinking and embracing the infinite possibilities that come with surrendering. We begin to see that the more we let go, the more we find ourselves stepping into the life we are meant to live, a life that is full of purpose, full of joy, and full of discovery. And with each step we take, we realize that letting go is not about losing ourselves. It is about discovering who we truly are. It is about stepping into a version of ourselves that is free from fear, free from attachment, and free to experience life in its fullest, most expansive form. The more we trust, the more we see that the path ahead is not something we need to control, but something we need to experience with open arms, with trust, and with faith. As we take these leaps of faith, we come to understand that life is a continuous flow of unfolding, not a destination to reach, but a journey to live. Every step we take, every moment we let go, brings us closer to our true essence, to the person we are becoming, and to the life we are meant to live. And the beauty of this journey is that there is no end, only continuous growth, continuous discovery, and continuous trust in the flow of life. As you take that leap of faith, trusting in the unknown, a new layer of understanding begins to unfold. You might begin to notice that the more you surrender, the more you realize how deeply we are attached to the illusion of control. We often convince ourselves that we must have control over every aspect of our lives, our careers, our relationships, even our emotions. We hold on tightly to the belief that by controlling our circumstances, we can avoid pain, failure, and uncertainty. But what if this need for control is actually what keeps us stuck? What if, by letting go of this illusion, we could restore balance and regain a deeper sense of peace. The need to control comes from a place of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of loss. When we try to control everything, we create tension, anxiety, and frustration. We become overwhelmed, constantly trying to steer life in the direction we think it should go, only to realize that life often has a different plan. The more we resist the flow, the more we fight against life's natural rhythm, and the more we experience discomfort. This is where the practice of letting go of resistance becomes transformative. Surrendering to the present moment isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of the need to force or control. It's about releasing the constant need to manipulate the future and instead trusting that what unfolds will be exactly what we need. When we hold on to control, we stop flowing with life. We create mental and emotional barriers that keep us from experiencing the fullness of the present moment. But when we let go, we open ourselves to the natural flow of life, and in doing so, we find a sense of balance that was always there, waiting for us to discover it. Letting go of control doesn't mean we stop engaging with life. It means we stop forcing life into a mold of our own making. This shift in perspective allows us to see that we don't need to control every outcome to be happy or successful. The more we trust the present moment, the more we realize that life has its own rhythm, a rhythm that we can align with rather than resist. When we let go, we stop fighting against life's natural flow and start moving with it, gracefully and effortlessly. The illusion of control is rooted in the desire to feel secure, to know that everything will work out according to our expectations. But the truth is, we can never fully predict the future. The more we try, the more we create inner turmoil. This is where balance comes in. True balance isn't about controlling every aspect of our lives. It's about finding peace within the chaos. It's about being able to navigate life's ups and downs without getting caught in them. When we surrender the need for control, we allow ourselves to experience the ebb and flow of life with more equanimity. This process of letting go is not always easy. It requires a deep level of trust in ourselves and in life. Trusting that we don't need to control every detail, trusting that life will unfold in its own time, and trusting that we are exactly where we need to be. It's not about avoiding challenges or difficult emotions. It's about knowing that we can handle them, even when we don't have all the answers. Letting go of resistance allows us to live more fully in the present, without the constant worry of what's coming next. One of the most powerful aspects of surrender is how it helps us dissolve the inner conflict that comes from trying to control everything. When we try to control life, we create a split within ourselves. Part of us is fighting against what is happening, while another part of us is trying to hold everything together. This internal battle is exhausting. But when we let go, we stop fighting and instead start to move with life's natural rhythms. We allow things to unfold as they will, knowing that we don't have to force anything to happen. The more we release control, the more we realize that everything is interconnected. Life doesn't unfold in a straight line, and it doesn't always make sense in the moment. But by surrendering to the flow, we begin to see how everything is part of a larger, more intricate plan. Each moment, each experience, and each person we meet is part of this interconnected web. When we let go of our need to control, we become more attuned to the subtle ways in which life is guiding us. We start to trust that the path we are on is exactly the one we need to be walking, even if we can't see the whole picture. This doesn't mean that we become passive or detached from life. On the contrary, letting go of control allows us to engage with life more fully. We stop resisting the moments that don't fit into our plans, and instead, we accept them as part of our journey. We stop trying to force things to happen, and instead, allow ourselves to be guided by life's natural unfolding. By trusting the process, we discover a sense of peace and clarity that was always there, hidden beneath our need for control. One of the most profound aspects of letting go of control is how it restores our inner balance. When we let go of resistance, we stop creating tension within ourselves. We stop pushing and pulling against life, trying to shape it into what we think it should be. Instead, we align ourselves with life's natural flow, and in doing so, we find a deep sense of peace that comes from being in harmony with the present moment. Balance is not something we achieve by controlling life. It is something we experience when we release the need to control. In letting go of resistance, we not only restore balance within ourselves, but we also open the door to greater trust in life. Trust that things will work out. Trust that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should. The more we let go, the more we discover that life's flow is more reliable than any amount of control we could ever exert. The more we trust the process, the more we see that everything is working together for our highest good. It's easy to get caught up in the belief that we must control everything to make sure things turn out the way we want. But when we release this belief, we make space for true freedom. The freedom to live in the present, to embrace life as it comes, and to trust that every experience is part of our journey. When we stop trying to control everything, we begin to experience the joy of surrender, the joy of living fully in the moment, without the weight of control and expectation holding us back. Letting go of resistance doesn't mean that we stop setting goals or pursuing our dreams. It means that we stop obsessing over the outcome. It means that we trust that our efforts will be met with the right opportunities, that everything is unfolding in the way it should. Instead of fighting against life, we begin to flow with it. We trust that each step, no matter how uncertain it seems, is leading us exactly where we need to go. This sense of freedom is the natural result of releasing control. We no longer feel the need to constantly force life to bend to our will. Instead, we allow ourselves to experience life fully, trusting that everything will unfold as it should. As we surrender to the present moment, we realize that there is no need to control what is already in motion. Life, in its infinite wisdom, is guiding us along the path, and by trusting that process, we find a deep sense of peace that comes from living in harmony with the world around us. By letting go of resistance, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We stop living in a state of constant anxiety about the future, and instead, we live fully in the present. The more we trust the natural flow of life, the more we find ourselves in a state of balance, not because we are controlling everything, but because we are allowing ourselves to be in sync with what is. This state of balance allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace, knowing that we don't need to fight against them. We can trust that everything will unfold in its own time. When we dissolve the illusion of control, we begin to experience life in a much deeper, more meaningful way. We realize that we don't need to control the future to find peace. Instead, peace comes from letting go, from trusting that life is guiding us exactly where we need to go. As we surrender to the present moment, we restore balance to our lives, and we discover that true freedom lies not in controlling everything, but in trusting that everything is already unfolding exactly as it should. As you dissolve the illusion of control, a new realization begins to unfold, a deeper understanding of the true nature of freedom. It becomes clear that true peace isn't just found in releasing resistance to life's flow. It's found in the surrender of something even more profound, our personal desires. This may sound counterintuitive, especially in a world that encourages us to chase after our wants and goals. But in Buddhism, surrender is not about giving up. It's about letting go of the ego's tight grip on life. The act of surrendering personal desires is a key step toward awakening, toward realizing the fullness of our being and aligning with the deeper truths of existence. At first glance, surrender might seem like a passive act, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful steps we can take toward enlightenment. It's not about giving up on our dreams or aspirations. It's about freeing ourselves from the attachment to them. When we let go of our desires, we stop being driven by external forces, and we open ourselves to a deeper connection with the present moment and our true nature. The Buddhist path to enlightenment teaches us that attachment to desire is the root cause of suffering. We chase after things, believing they will bring us happiness, but the truth is that desire is endless. There will always be something new to desire, always something more to want. As long as we remain attached to this endless cycle, we will never find lasting peace. This is where the practice of surrender becomes transformative. When we release our attachment to desires, we free ourselves from the cycle of craving and dissatisfaction that keeps us stuck. Surrendering personal desires doesn't mean that we stop caring about what happens in our lives. It means that we stop attaching our sense of self-worth and happiness to external outcomes. We stop defining ourselves by our possessions, our achievements, or the approval of others. Instead, we begin to cultivate an inner peace that isn't dependent on anything outside of us. This is the gateway to enlightenment, the realization that peace comes from within, not from what we have or what we achieve. The practice of letting go of desires is also deeply connected to the concept of non-attachment in Buddhism. It's about recognizing that everything is temporary and that nothing outside of us can provide lasting fulfillment. When we release our attachment to desires, we stop clinging to the illusion that we need more to be happy or fulfilled. This doesn't mean we stop engaging with the world, but we begin to engage with it in a way that is free from expectation or attachment. This surrender is not an act of denial or self-sacrifice. It's an act of acceptance. We begin to accept life as it is, without trying to force it into a mold that suits our desires. This acceptance creates a deep sense of freedom, as we no longer feel the need to constantly chase after things to fill the emptiness within us. Instead, we find that the emptiness itself is a space of potential, a space where we can connect with the true nature of reality. The process of surrendering is also an act of letting go of the self, the ego that constantly seeks validation, control, and external approval. The ego is driven by desire, always seeking more and never satisfied. But when we surrender the ego's desires, we begin to experience a profound shift. We stop living for the approval of others and start living for our own deeper truth. This shift is one of the most powerful aspects of the path to enlightenment. When we let go of the ego's desires, we begin to live more authentically, more in alignment with who we truly are. Letting go of desires is not about being passive or indifferent. It's about releasing the need to force life to match our expectations. It's about allowing ourselves to experience life fully without being attached to the outcome. This kind of surrender brings us back to the present moment, where we can truly experience the richness of life without the constant pressure of wanting things to be different. When we stop chasing after what we think we need, we begin to experience the peace and freedom that comes from being fully present. As we progress on the path to enlightenment, we begin to realize that true happiness doesn't come from external achievements or possessions. It comes from within. When we let go of our attachment to desire, we make space for this inner peace to arise. We stop looking for happiness outside of ourselves and begin to realize that happiness is already here, waiting for us to acknowledge it. The more we surrender, the more we discover that the things we thought we wanted don't bring the lasting peace we seek. The more we let go of desire, the more we connect with the deeper, unshakable peace that is always present within us. This journey of surrender is also deeply connected to the Buddhist concept of impermanence. Our desires are often rooted in the belief that something external will bring us lasting satisfaction. But because everything is temporary, nothing can ever provide lasting fulfillment. When we recognize the impermanent nature of all things, we begin to see that attachment to desire only leads to suffering. The act of surrendering is an acknowledgement that everything is transient, and in this understanding, we free ourselves from the need to hold on to things that are fleeting. By letting go, we align ourselves with the natural ebb and flow of life, allowing us to move through the world with a sense of peace and acceptance. Surrender is also a path to inner stillness. When we stop constantly chasing after our desires, we create the space for stillness to emerge. In this stillness, we can connect with the deeper truths of existence. This is where true awakening happens, not through striving or effort, but through surrendering to the present moment. In the stillness, we find clarity, peace, and a deep sense of connection to something greater than ourselves. This is where enlightenment begins to unfold, when we let go of the need to control, to achieve, or to possess, and instead embrace the natural flow of life. As we continue to let go of our desires, we begin to experience the profound truth that we are already whole. We don't need to become someone else or achieve anything more to experience peace. By surrendering our desires, we stop trying to fill the gaps in our lives, and instead, we discover that the gaps were never really there. They were illusions created by our attachments to things that we thought we needed. When we let go of those attachments, we uncover the truth of who we are, a being of peace, love, and wisdom. The process of surrender is deeply transformative. It's not an overnight change, but a gradual unfolding. As we release the grip of our desires, we begin to experience life with greater clarity and compassion. We stop seeking external validation and start validating ourselves from within. We stop looking for happiness outside of ourselves and begin to find it in the simple, everyday moments of life. This is the essence of enlightenment, realizing that we don't need to chase after anything to be whole, to be happy, to be at peace. All we need to do is let go, surrender, and trust that life will unfold in its own time. Surrendering desires is also about recognizing our true nature. It's about moving beyond the ego, beyond the need to define ourselves through our possessions, achievements, or status. When we surrender, we step into a higher understanding of who we really are, beyond the desires, beyond the attachments, and beyond the temporary nature of the world around us. This is the path of enlightenment, the journey of letting go of what is not real and discovering the truth of who we are in the stillness and peace that arise when we surrender. In letting go, we don't lose anything, we gain everything. The more we surrender, the more we gain clarity, peace, and an understanding of our deeper self. The path to enlightenment isn't about gaining more or achieving more. It's about letting go and realizing that we already have everything we need. By surrendering our desires, we open the door to a life that is full of freedom, joy, and unshakable peace. As you surrender personal desires and begin to trust the natural flow of life, a deeper, more profound shift begins to take shape. You've started to recognize that peace doesn't come from fighting against life's currents or holding on tightly to rigid expectations. But there's something even more transformative that occurs when we fully embrace surrender, the art of living effortlessly. This is the point where the weight begins to lift, where life no longer feels like a constant struggle. The more we trust, the more we realize that life can be lived with ease, without forcing, without pushing, without resistance. At first, this may seem like an impossible idea. After all, we are constantly told to work harder, push further, and strive for more. But in reality, the more we strive, the more we distance ourselves from the natural flow of life. It's when we stop struggling and begin to flow with life's current that we begin to see how effortless living can truly be. The path to this effortless living is paved by surrender and trust. When we let go of the need to control and allow ourselves to be guided by the natural rhythms of life, we discover that everything unfolds without the need for constant effort. Living without struggle isn't about being passive or complacent. It's about finding a balance between action and surrender. It's the practice of engaging with life fully without the weight of resistance. We don't stop taking action, but we stop forcing outcomes. We no longer try to control every detail, every circumstance, or every event. Instead, we take action from a place of trust, knowing that each step we take is part of a larger, unfolding process that is beyond our control, but perfectly aligned with the flow of life. When we practice effortless living, we begin to see how much of our energy is wasted on fighting what is. We are constantly pushing against life's current, trying to make things happen the way we want them to. But when we let go of that resistance, we free up our energy. We no longer fight against the flow. Instead, we move with it. We start to see that everything that happens, whether it feels comfortable or uncomfortable, is part of the natural rhythm of life. The key is not in avoiding difficulties, but in accepting them as they come, knowing that each challenge is a step along the path. Trusting the flow of life means trusting that everything, even the things we don't understand or don't want, is part of our growth. It's through these moments of discomfort that we learn the most about ourselves. The more we surrender and allow ourselves to flow with life's natural current, the more we realize that the challenges we face are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth and learning. They are the very things that push us to evolve into the best versions of ourselves. This is where the practice of effortless living becomes transformative. It teaches us that we don't need to fight against what's in front of us. We simply need to flow with it. The beauty of effortless living is that it's not about making life perfect, but about embracing the imperfections. When we trust the flow of life, we stop expecting everything to go according to our plans. Instead, we accept that life will unfold as it will, and we choose to make the most of each moment, no matter how it looks. In doing so, we free ourselves from the constant pressure of needing everything to be exactly how we imagined. We stop living for the future and start living in the present, fully aware, fully engaged, and fully at peace. Effortless living doesn't mean that we don't care about the outcome of our actions. It means that we stop attaching ourselves to the results. When we no longer cling to a specific outcome, we can engage with life more freely. We act with intention, but we don't obsess over whether things will turn out the way we want them to. We let go of the need for approval, for success, for perfection, and we begin to experience life as it is, beautiful in its uncertainty and unfolding naturally, without the pressure of expectation. As you begin to live with more trust and surrender, something extraordinary happens. The more you let go, the more you find that life responds to you. Opportunities, relationships, and experiences begin to unfold with ease. This isn't magic. It's the result of living in harmony with the natural flow of life. When we stop fighting against life's rhythm, we start to see that the universe is always working with us, guiding us, and supporting us in ways we may not immediately understand. This sense of flow is not something we create. It's something we align with. The paradox of effortless living is that the more we stop forcing, the more we start achieving. When we let go of the intense pressure to make things happen, we find that things start to happen more naturally, more effortlessly. It's not that we stop working or being active, it's that we stop trying to control the results. We engage with life from a place of peace, of surrender, and in doing so, we become more in tune with the opportunities and possibilities that surround us. The less we fight against the current, the more we realize that the current is taking us exactly where we need to go. Living without struggle also teaches us how to handle life's challenges with more grace. When we approach difficulties with a sense of trust and surrender, we no longer react from a place of fear or frustration. Instead, we respond with understanding, knowing that each moment, good or bad, is part of the unfolding process of life. We don't need to resist or fight what's happening. Instead, we meet it with a calm acceptance, knowing that everything is temporary and that we can handle whatever comes our way. In this way, we experience life with greater equanimity, without being tossed around by the highs and lows that often come with the struggle. Trusting the flow of life also means understanding that there is a greater purpose to everything. Even when we don't understand why things are happening, we can trust that there is a larger plan at work. This trust allows us to be more present, more engaged, and more open to the possibilities that life offers. It gives us the freedom to move through life with confidence, knowing that we are not alone in this journey. The more we let go of control, the more we realize that life is constantly supporting us, guiding us, and leading us to the exact experiences we need to grow. Effortless living is also about being open to spontaneity. When we stop trying to plan every step of our journey, we open ourselves to the beauty of the unexpected. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and when we can accept that, we begin to see the joy in the spontaneous moments that life brings. The unexpected often holds the most beautiful surprises, the things we never could have predicted, but that end up being exactly what we needed. By surrendering to the flow of life, we make space for these spontaneous moments of wonder and growth. The process of living without struggle is a lifelong journey. It's about learning to trust life with each step, to surrender with each breath, and to let go of the need to control. It's about releasing the belief that we must force everything into place and instead allowing life to unfold naturally. This process doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and practice. But with each step, we move closer to living a life of peace, of balance, and of deep connection with ourselves and the world around us. In essence, the art of effortless living is about becoming more aligned with the natural rhythm of life. The more we trust, the more we surrender, the more we realize that life is a dance, and we are meant to move with it, not against it. By embracing this flow, we discover a deeper sense of purpose, a greater sense of inner peace, and a life that is filled with ease and joy. As you begin to move with the flow of life, letting go of control and trusting in the natural rhythms, a deeper shift begins to occur. You may start to notice that much of the tension in your life comes from resisting what is happening around you. Every time you fight against the present moment, every time you try to control or manipulate outcomes, you create inner conflict. This internal battle, whether subtle or intense, keeps you from experiencing true peace and balance. The more you resist life, the more you separate yourself from its natural flow, and the more disconnected you feel from your own true self. But what happens when you stop resisting? What happens when you allow life to unfold without constantly pushing against it? This is where the Buddhist path to inner harmony begins. In Buddhism, resistance is seen as the root cause of much of our suffering. When we resist, we create mental and emotional friction that prevents us from experiencing life as it is. We create an ongoing struggle within ourselves, a fight between what we want to happen and what is actually happening. This conflict is exhausting, and it keeps us trapped in cycles of stress and frustration. But when we let go of this resistance, when we stop fighting life's natural flow, we begin to find a deep sense of harmony, both within ourselves and in our relationships with the world around us. Resistance can take many forms. It might show up as a constant desire to change things, to control outcomes, or to avoid discomfort. It could be the need to fight against things we can't control, whether it's other people, situations, or even our own emotions. This type of resistance creates a wall between us and the present moment. We become so focused on what should be happening or what we wish were happening that we fail to appreciate what is right in front of us. By doing this, we miss out on life's beauty, the peace that comes with acceptance, and the flow of energy that could guide us to a more harmonious way of being. The Buddhist teachings on non-resistance offer a pathway to a balanced and harmonious life. The more we learn to let go of resistance, the more we allow ourselves to accept things as they are. This doesn't mean resigning ourselves to passivity or indifference, but rather it means embracing the present moment with an open heart, free from the need to change, control, or fix everything around us. True inner harmony comes not from avoiding challenges or struggles, but from responding to them with wisdom and grace. When we stop resisting, we begin to see that acceptance is not weakness, but strength. It's the strength to face life's uncertainties without fear. It's the strength to be present with whatever comes, without the need to force or manipulate. In this space of non-resistance, we find the freedom to truly experience life. We no longer feel like we are at odds with the world around us. Instead, we find ourselves in a state of alignment with it. This alignment allows us to experience the world in a way that is balanced, peaceful, and full of potential. The shift from resistance to acceptance is often subtle but powerful. As we begin to surrender our need to control, we open ourselves up to a deeper connection with the present moment. We stop fighting against the flow of life, and we start to move with it. This doesn't mean that we passively accept everything that happens, but it means that we stop resisting the inherent nature of change, the unpredictability of life. When we stop resisting, we find that life becomes lighter. The weight of trying to control everything lifts, and we are free to be more fully ourselves, more fully present in each moment. This journey towards inner harmony isn't a one-time event, but a continual process. Each time we notice resistance arising within us, we have the opportunity to let go of it. The more we practice non-resistance, the more we cultivate a state of harmony within ourselves. This harmony is not about being without challenges or difficulties, but about meeting those challenges with a calm, balanced mind. It's about seeing life's changes and fluctuations as part of a larger, natural flow, rather than as obstacles or disruptions. The practice of acceptance is deeply connected to the concept of mindfulness in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts, feelings, and experiences without judgment. It allows us to see things as they are, without the need to change or fix them. By cultivating mindfulness, we can begin to notice when we are resisting the present moment, and we can gently choose to let go of that resistance. Mindfulness brings us back to the present, where we can experience life as it is, free from the internal struggle that resistance creates. As we continue along this path of surrender and acceptance, we begin to notice how much more peaceful our minds become. We stop creating mental noise by constantly judging and resisting. We stop reacting to life from a place of fear or anxiety, and instead, we respond from a place of clarity and equanimity. This inner calm, this sense of balance, is what allows us to move through life with ease, regardless of the external circumstances. One of the most profound shifts that occur when we let go of resistance is the deepening of our connection to the present moment. Resistance keeps us trapped in the past or future, in what we want or fear. But when we stop resisting, we are able to experience life as it is happening. We can feel the fullness of the moment, whether it's a moment of joy, sorrow, or simply stillness. This connection to the present moment is where true peace resides. It's where we find clarity, insight, and a deep sense of belonging to the world around us. The Buddhist path teaches us that the key to inner harmony lies in our relationship to desire and attachment. When we resist what is happening, we create tension and inner conflict. But when we stop attaching ourselves to outcomes or desires, we release the mental and emotional strain that comes with resistance. We become freer, lighter, and more open to life's flow. This doesn't mean that we stop pursuing our goals or dreams, but it means that we stop attaching our happiness or self-worth to them. We learn to pursue our goals with detachment, knowing that our happiness comes not from achieving them, but from the peace we cultivate within ourselves. As we move along this journey of non-resistance, we begin to see that true strength is found not in forcing our way, but in allowing life to unfold as it will. We begin to trust that everything is happening exactly as it should. This trust in the natural flow of life allows us to meet each moment with a sense of peace and acceptance, knowing that we are in harmony with the world around us. The deeper we go into this practice of non-resistance, the more we realize that inner harmony is not something to attain. It is something we already have. It's always there, beneath the layers of resistance, fear, and attachment. The more we let go, the more we uncover this natural harmony within ourselves. This is the true essence of the Buddhist path, the realization that by surrendering resistance, we come into alignment with our true nature and the natural flow of the universe. As we practice surrender, we begin to see how everything in life is interconnected. Our internal resistance often arises from the illusion of separation, from the belief that we are separate from others, from life, or from the universe itself. But as we let go of resistance, we start to experience a sense of unity with all things. We realize that everything is part of the same natural flow, and by aligning ourselves with that flow, we become one with it. This is the deep truth of interconnection that Buddhism teaches us. Everything is connected, and when we surrender resistance, we find ourselves in harmony with all of life. The journey toward inner harmony is ultimately about awakening, not to some distant future, but to the truth of who we already are. By letting go of resistance, we awaken to the present moment, to the natural flow of life, and to the deep peace that resides within us all. As we continue to practice non-resistance, we discover that inner harmony is not something we need to achieve, but something we need to realize, accept, and align with. This is the path of Buddhism, a journey toward peace, balance, and deep inner wisdom, found not by fighting against life, but by surrendering to it. As you embrace the practice of non-resistance, you begin to notice a shift, not just in how you interact with life, but in how you interact with yourself. The more you let go of the need to control, the more you realize there is a natural rhythm to your life, a rhythm that doesn't need to be forced. Life doesn't always happen according to a rigid plan, and that's where the beauty lies. It's when we stop trying to fit ourselves into an external mold, when we trust our own rhythm, that we begin to discover the true meaning of alignment and purpose. Many of us live our lives with a sense of urgency, feeling as though we must follow a set path, meet certain expectations, or achieve specific goals at a predetermined pace. But the truth is, there is no one-size-fits-all journey. Each of us has our own unique rhythm, the way we move through life, the way we respond to challenges, and the way we find meaning in our experiences. It's only when we begin to trust this rhythm, rather than fight against it, that we start to align with our true purpose. Trusting your personal rhythm is not about rigidly adhering to a set timeline, but about embracing the natural flow of your own life. It's understanding that there is no rush, no deadline to meet, and no specific blueprint you must follow. It's about recognizing that your path is uniquely yours, and the more you trust it, the more clarity and peace you will find. As you release the need to compare yourself to others or measure your progress by external standards, you begin to see that your rhythm is perfect, even when it doesn't align with society's expectations. One of the first steps in trusting your own rhythm is learning to be present in your life as it unfolds. So often, we are consumed by thoughts of the past or anxieties about the future, but these distractions pull us away from the moment we are in. When you focus on the present, you begin to feel the natural flow of your own energy. You begin to see that each moment, each step, is part of your unique rhythm. By surrendering the pressure to be somewhere other than where you are, you open up space to breathe, to listen, and to let life flow through you. Living in flow means releasing the constant need for control, trusting that your life will unfold exactly as it's meant to, without the need for force. Each person's rhythm is different, and that difference is what makes your journey uniquely meaningful. The more you resist your rhythm, the more disconnected you feel. But when you embrace it, you begin to experience a sense of peace that comes from knowing that you are moving in perfect alignment with the universe. This doesn't mean that everything will always be easy or smooth. Life is full of challenges, but trusting your rhythm helps you navigate those challenges with greater ease. When you stop fighting against the ups and downs, the inevitable changes that come, you find that you are better able to move through them, learning and growing along the way. Every challenge you face becomes a part of your journey, a step that leads you closer to self-discovery and to a deeper understanding of who you truly are. Living in flow is also about accepting that life's timing is not always aligned with our own desires. Sometimes we find ourselves in moments of stillness or waiting, and during these times we may feel as though we are falling behind or not doing enough. But trusting your rhythm means understanding that everything happens in its own time. There is no need to rush through life or force things to happen prematurely. Trusting that each phase of your life is unfolding as it should gives you the freedom to move at your own pace, to engage fully in the present, and to appreciate the journey rather than only focusing on the destination. Your personal rhythm is like a song. It's made up of many different beats and notes, some fast, some slow, some loud, some soft. The more you listen to it, the more you understand how to dance with it. It becomes less about achieving specific goals at a specific time and more about flowing with the music of your life. When you embrace this rhythm, you begin to experience a deep sense of belonging to your own life, a sense that you are exactly where you need to be, even if the road ahead isn't entirely clear. The beauty of living in flow is that it brings you back to your authentic self. When you trust your own rhythm, you stop trying to be something you're not. You stop trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit you, and you start showing up in the world as you truly are. In doing so, you align with your purpose, not because it's something you strive for, but because it is naturally revealed to you when you listen to your own heartbeat. There will always be moments when you question your path, when doubts creep in or the rhythm of life feels out of sync. During these moments, it's important to remember that life is not a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and pauses, and that's what makes it beautiful. Trusting your rhythm means trusting that each moment, each phase, each delay, and each step backward is part of the process. The more you let go of expectations and allow your journey to unfold naturally, the more you will see that everything is leading you toward exactly where you are meant to be. When you live in flow, you become more attuned to the natural cycles of your life. You begin to see that there are seasons of rest, seasons of growth, seasons of challenge, and seasons of achievement. Each season is necessary for the next, and by trusting the timing of each phase, you begin to experience a sense of inner peace and acceptance. You no longer feel the need to force yourself into a particular mold or timeline. Instead, you accept the rhythm of your life, knowing that every season has its purpose. In this state of flow, you begin to feel a greater connection with the world around you. You see that life is constantly moving, constantly changing, and you are a part of that flow. Instead of trying to control or change things, you become an active participant in the unfolding of life. You start to notice synchronicities, moments of alignment, and opportunities that you may have missed when you were too focused on trying to make things happen. This connection with life's flow brings a sense of belonging as you realize that you are not separate from the world around you, but an integral part of it. Living in flow is about learning to trust your intuition and inner wisdom. When you stop trying to control everything and start listening to your inner guidance, you begin to realize that you already know what you need to do. Your rhythm, your natural pace, and your inner wisdom guide you along the way. The more you trust this inner voice, the more you align with your true purpose, and the more effortless life becomes. It's important to recognize that trusting your rhythm doesn't mean that you don't face difficulties or that life will always be smooth. It means that even when faced with challenges, you are able to meet them with a sense of grace and acceptance. You stop fighting against what is happening and instead flow with it, knowing that each challenge is part of your unique rhythm and journey. With each challenge, you become more attuned to your own strength and resilience, and your rhythm becomes more deeply ingrained in who you are. As you continue to trust the flow of life, you will notice that effortlessness doesn't mean doing less or caring less. It means engaging with life in a way that feels natural and aligned with your true self. The more you align with your personal rhythm, the more peace you will find. You will no longer feel like you're pushing through life, but rather like you're flowing with it. The more you trust your rhythm, the more life will unfold in beautiful, unexpected ways, bringing you exactly what you need at exactly the right time. The journey of living in flow is one of continuous discovery, continuous listening, and continuous trust. When you stop forcing your way through life, you begin to experience a peace that comes from deep within. You realize that your rhythm is perfect, that there is no need to rush, and that everything is happening as it should. By embracing this flow, you not only align with your true purpose, but also discover a deeper sense of harmony and connection with life itself. As you begin to trust the rhythm of your life and move with the natural flow, you may be faced with a surprising realization. The more you surrender, the more you let go of control, the more you actually find strength. It seems like a contradiction. How can surrender, something often associated with weakness, actually lead to power? But therein lies the paradox of letting go. When we release our grip on the need to control and force outcomes, we open ourselves up to a strength that comes from being aligned with life's natural flow. It's not weakness, it's a deep, unshakable resilience that arises from surrendering to what is, rather than resisting it. This paradox is at the heart of the human experience. We are taught from a young age that strength is about control, about willpower, about pushing through no matter the cost. We are told to hold tight, to fight for what we want, and to never back down. But what happens when we let go? What happens when we stop fighting, stop pushing, and allow life to unfold as it will? We often fear that letting go means giving up, that if we stop trying so hard, we will lose everything. But the opposite is true. By surrendering, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, and in doing so, we tap into a power that is far greater than any amount of force or effort could ever provide. The act of letting go is not about passivity, it's about opening up to the wisdom of life itself. When we let go of resistance, we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, and instead, we begin to trust in the process. This trust doesn't mean that we don't act or take responsibility. Rather, it means that we stop forcing things to happen, and instead allow them to unfold in their own time and way. This type of surrender requires incredible strength. It takes courage to step back and trust that everything will work out without us having to manipulate every detail. What's fascinating is that the more we let go, the more resilient we become. Resilience doesn't come from holding on to everything tightly. It comes from letting go and adapting to whatever life throws our way. When we are resistant to life's challenges, we create unnecessary tension, stress, and emotional exhaustion. We fight against things that are beyond our control, which leaves us depleted. But when we release this resistance and allow ourselves to flow with life, we discover a new kind of strength. We learn to bend without breaking, to flow without being swept away. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them with grace and acceptance, knowing that we are fully capable of handling whatever comes. Letting go also frees us from the burden of expectation. When we are constantly trying to control outcomes, we are placing heavy demands on ourselves. We feel as though we must achieve certain things by specific timelines, or that our worth is tied to our accomplishments. This pressure can create stress and anxiety, leaving us feeling disconnected from the present moment. But when we surrender this need to control, we free ourselves from the weight of these expectations. We no longer feel like we are defined by what we achieve. Instead, we feel a sense of peace and confidence in knowing that we are enough, exactly as we are. This is the power of surrender. It liberates us from the mental and emotional cages we create around ourselves. The strength that comes from letting go is also deeply connected to trusting the process. Life doesn't always unfold according to our plans, and often we can't see the bigger picture. But when we trust that life is guiding us, that there is a greater plan in motion, we stop fighting against the flow. We stop trying to force things to happen when the timing isn't right, and we allow ourselves to trust that everything is happening in perfect timing. This trust brings a sense of relief, a deep knowing that we are not alone in this journey, and that we don't have to have everything figured out in order to move forward. The paradox of letting go also teaches us that strength doesn't come from control, but from acceptance. Acceptance of ourselves, acceptance of life's challenges, and acceptance of the unpredictable nature of the world around us. The more we resist, the more we feel disconnected and out of control. But when we accept the present moment as it is, without trying to change it or push it away, we discover a deep peace. This peace gives us the strength to face any situation with clarity and calmness, knowing that we don't need to control everything in order to be okay. When we surrender to life, we realize that true strength comes from aligning with the natural flow of things. We stop fighting against the current and begin to move with it. Instead of exhausting ourselves by swimming upstream, we learn to ride the current, trusting that it will take us exactly where we need to go. This doesn't mean that we stop making choices or taking action. It means that we stop forcing outcomes and instead allow life to unfold in its own time. We begin to understand that surrender isn't about giving up. It's about finding the courage to let go of what no longer serves us, and in doing so, opening ourselves to a life that is full of possibility, ease, and flow. As you continue to let go and surrender, you begin to notice how much more you are able to receive. The more we release our tight grip on life, the more we open ourselves to the gifts that are already available to us. Whether it's new opportunities, deeper relationships, or personal growth, surrendering creates space for these things to come into our lives. When we stop resisting, we become more receptive to life's natural flow, and in turn, we begin to attract the things that align with our true purpose. This process of surrender doesn't happen all at once. It's a continual practice of releasing control and trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you want to grab hold again, to take control of the situation. But as you practice surrender, you will notice that it becomes easier. You begin to trust the process more fully, knowing that every step, every experience, and every challenge is guiding you to exactly where you need to be. Ultimately, the paradox of letting go is that in surrender, we find our true strength. We stop relying on our own force and willpower to make things happen, and we start aligning ourselves with the natural rhythm of life. This alignment allows us to experience life more fully, without the exhaustion of resistance, and with a deep sense of peace and resilience. The more we let go, the stronger we become. It is in the act of surrender that we discover our truest power, the power that comes not from control, but from trust and acceptance. Through surrender, we are freed, not weak, and it is in this freedom that we find the strength to face life's challenges with grace, clarity, and confidence. As you continue to explore the art of surrender, something deeper begins to unfold, a realization that everything is connected. The more you let go, the more you begin to see how your actions ripple out into the world, shaping not only your life, but the lives of those around you. This is where the concept of karma comes in. Often misunderstood as a simple cause and effect relationship, karma is much more than a rule of moral exchange. It's the flow of life itself, a web of unseen consequences that guides us, often without our awareness. Understanding karma isn't about trying to control or predict outcomes. It's about trusting that every action, thought, and intention we put out into the world will eventually lead to peace, understanding, and balance. Karma, in its most profound sense, isn't just about receiving rewards or punishments. It's about understanding the deep connection between our actions and the natural flow of life. When we surrender to this flow, we trust that the consequences of our actions will unfold in their own time, and that life's rhythm will guide us to exactly where we need to be. But to do this, we must let go of the need to control outcomes and instead trust that each action, whether small or large, creates ripples in the universe that will eventually bring us to peace. At the core of karma is the understanding that everything we do has consequences, and these consequences extend far beyond our immediate understanding. When we trust in karma, we trust in the unseen forces that are at work in our lives. Every action, whether out of kindness, frustration, or anger, sets a force in motion that will shape our experience. Karma is not about judging our actions or fearing their consequences, but about understanding that our actions align us with a larger cosmic order. The more we act with awareness and intentionality, the more we align ourselves with the natural flow of karma, moving toward peace and balance in all areas of our lives. This trust in karma allows us to surrender the idea that we must control every outcome. We no longer feel the need to micromanage the results of our actions. Instead, we begin to trust that every action we take, whether it appears good or bad, is part of a larger unfolding that will eventually bring us the lessons, the growth, and the peace we need. This process requires patience and faith. It requires letting go of our need for immediate gratification and trusting that the universe is always at work in the background, bringing us exactly what we need in perfect timing. Karma is also deeply connected to compassion. As we understand that our actions are part of a greater interconnected web, we begin to see how each action impacts not only us, but the entire world. The more we act from a place of compassion towards ourselves, towards others, and towards the planet, the more we align ourselves with the flow of positive karma. Compassion becomes a powerful tool for moving through life with peace, as it helps us understand that our actions are never isolated. We are always in relationship with the world around us, and everything we do has a ripple effect. When we act with awareness and kindness, we send out positive energy into the world, which returns to us in ways that we may not always understand. Trusting in karma also means letting go of the idea that we must always see or understand the immediate consequences of our actions. Life is full of uncertainties, and sometimes we act with the best intentions, yet the results may not seem to reflect our efforts. This is where faith comes into play. Trusting karma means trusting that even when we don't see the immediate return, our actions are still contributing to the larger flow of life. The outcomes might not always be visible, but they are always unfolding, leading us toward eventual peace and growth. Understanding this helps us release the frustration that arises when we feel that our efforts go unnoticed or unrewarded. Karma teaches us to release attachment to results and instead focus on the quality of our actions and intentions. The flow of karma is also tied to the idea of balance. Every action we take creates a balance in the universe, whether it's through the kindness we extend to others or the negative energy we project. By acting with awareness, we become part of this natural balance. We align ourselves with the rhythm of the universe, creating harmony between our actions and the world around us. In this alignment, we stop fighting against the ebb and flow of life. We learn that every event, every situation, and every challenge is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to contribute positively to the larger unfolding of our lives. the more we trust this natural balance, the more we see how every action leads to peace, whether it's through a lesson learned, a relationship healed, or a personal revelation that brings clarity. As we continue to trust karma, we come to understand that it is not a system of reward and punishment, but rather a system of learning and growth. Every experience, every action, no matter how small, contributes to our understanding of the world and our place in it. The more we trust in this flow, the more we see that the universe is always guiding us toward growth, understanding, and peace. Whether we realize it in the moment or not, every action and every interaction shapes our journey, helping us to evolve and become more aligned with our true purpose. Karma teaches us that trusting the process is essential. We may not always understand why certain events unfold the way they do, but we can trust that everything is happening as it should. Every action, every choice, has a ripple effect that we may never fully understand. But when we act with intention, compassion, and awareness, we align ourselves with the flow of life. This trust in karma brings us a sense of peace, knowing that we don't need to control the outcome of our actions. We simply need to trust that what is meant for us will come in its own time. In this process, surrender is key. As we learn to trust karma, we also learn to let go of our need to control the results. We stop worrying about what will happen next and instead focus on the quality of our actions. By surrendering to the flow of karma, we stop struggling against the unknown and we begin to align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life. This surrender is not about giving up. It's about releasing the need to manipulate outcomes and instead allowing life to unfold in its own way. Trusting in karma also invites us to be present. When we trust that everything is unfolding as it should, we are able to live in the moment without the weight of future concerns or past regrets. We begin to realize that the present moment is where our power lies, and it is through our actions in the present that we create the future we want to see. Karma teaches us that our actions today shape the world of tomorrow. It teaches us to focus on what we can control, our intentions, our actions, and our response to life, while trusting that the flow of karma will guide us to where we need to be. The more we trust karma, the more we learn that everything, both good and bad, is part of the unfolding path toward peace. Karma is not about avoiding hardship. It is about understanding that each challenge is a lesson that leads us to growth and enlightenment. Every difficulty we face is a reminder that we are part of something larger, something greater, and that our actions are always shaping our experience. Trusting karma means trusting that every moment, every choice, and every experience is leading us exactly where we need to go, even if we can't always see it in the moment. In the end, the true power of karma lies in its ability to guide us without us needing to understand every step. It is a gentle reminder that everything is connected: our actions, our choices, our thoughts, and even our intentions. Trusting the flow of karma is about trusting the unfolding process of life, knowing that through every action we are contributing to the larger whole. By aligning ourselves with this flow, we begin to experience the peace that comes with understanding that we don't need to control everything, but simply need to trust that every action leads us to eventual peace and growth. As you continue to embrace the natural flow of life, you begin to realize something profound. Surrendering your personal agendas and trusting in the universe is not about giving up. It's about aligning with something greater than yourself. This may sound abstract or even intimidating, but it's a powerful shift that can bring more peace, clarity, and purpose into your life. The more we let go of our need to control every outcome, the more we begin to tap into the divine flow that is always guiding us. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, is not working against us. It is always working with us, helping us move toward the path we are meant to follow. The act of letting go is not simply about releasing control over things. It is about surrendering to a higher power and recognizing that we are part of a much larger plan. Each moment, every action, every decision is woven into the vast fabric of the universe. When we stop fighting against it, we begin to see that the universe is always guiding us in ways we may not fully understand, but which always serve our higher good. This alignment with divine will is a shift from personal willpower to a deeper spiritual trust. It's a realization that we don't need to have everything figured out because the universe is already guiding us exactly where we need to go. Trusting the universe requires the courage to surrender, to let go of your attachments, your expectations, and your rigid need for certainty. It means allowing yourself to flow with the natural course of events, even when they seem unpredictable or uncomfortable. This process of surrender isn't about inaction. It's about recognizing when to step back and let life unfold as it will. It's trusting that the right opportunities, people, and experiences will come to you at the right time. When you step into this trust, you let go of fear and replace it with a deep belief that you are being supported by forces much greater than yourself. The key to aligning with divine will is to recognize that we are all part of a larger plan, a plan that unfolds whether we can see it clearly or not. Often, we try to force our own will upon the world, pushing ourselves into situations that we think will bring us happiness or success. But true alignment with the universe happens when we release these personal agendas and allow the universe to direct our steps. This is not about abandoning our goals or dreams, but rather about understanding that when we align ourselves with a greater purpose, we move toward those goals in a more natural, fulfilling way. Surrendering to divine will isn't passive. It's an active choice to trust that there is a greater intelligence at play. Each decision, no matter how small, is a part of the unfolding process. When we release the need to control every outcome, we open ourselves up to opportunities and experiences that we might never have considered. Sometimes, the universe will guide us in ways that we never expected, through unexpected events, people, or challenges. The more we trust in this flow, the more we realize that these so-called detours are often the very things that lead us to where we need to be. The universe's guidance may not always be immediately clear, and this is where trust becomes essential. Letting go of certainty means embracing uncertainty without fear. It means trusting that even when we don't understand why things are happening, they are happening for a reason. There is wisdom in the process, even if we don't have all the answers right now. Trusting the universe means accepting the mystery of life and allowing it to unfold without constantly trying to control or predict its course. As we learn to trust in divine will, we also learn to embrace patience. When we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, we stop rushing through every moment or pushing ourselves toward unrealistic timelines. We allow ourselves the space to breathe, to rest, and to trust that things will come to fruition in their own time. In a world that values speed and immediate results, surrendering to divine timing can feel uncomfortable, but it is the key to finding peace in the process. Trusting the universe means letting go of the need to make things happen on our terms and accepting that there is perfect timing to every event in our lives. The more we practice surrender, the more we begin to experience the peace that comes with divine alignment. We stop swimming against the current and start moving with it, understanding that life is not something we need to fight or force. It is something we need to trust. Every experience, every challenge, and every triumph is part of a larger story, one that is unfolding perfectly, even when we can't see the whole picture. Surrendering to divine will means trusting that we are exactly where we need to be, even when the path isn't clear. Living in alignment with the universe also means letting go of the ego's desires, the need to assert our personal will over everything. The ego seeks control, validation, and approval. It pushes us to achieve at all costs, often at the expense of our peace and happiness. But when we surrender to the universe's flow, we step out of the ego's grip. We begin to see that true fulfillment comes not from external accomplishments, but from being in harmony with the world around us. When we let go of the ego's agenda, we make space for something deeper, our true purpose, the one that has always been there, waiting for us to discover it. This process of surrendering personal desires and trusting the universe also leads to greater clarity. When we let go of the noise of our own desires and plans, we allow the quiet wisdom of the universe to guide us. Instead of being clouded by confusion and overthinking, we find that we are able to make decisions from a place of inner peace. The more we trust the universe, the more we begin to hear its subtle guidance. Life no longer feels like a series of random events, but like a perfectly orchestrated flow that we are part of. When we release the need to control, we begin to see the beauty in trusting the process. This doesn't mean we sit back and wait for life to happen to us, but that we stop trying to force everything into place. We become more mindful of our actions, trusting that each step we take is aligned with the universe's greater plan. The more we live in harmony with divine will, the more we see that we don't have to control the future. We simply have to trust that the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances will come to us when the time is right. Trusting the universe also teaches us the importance of gratitude. As we surrender to the flow, we begin to appreciate every moment, whether it feels good or bad, knowing that everything is part of our spiritual journey. Gratitude helps us stay open to the universe's guidance, even when things don't unfold the way we expected. By trusting that the universe has our best interest at heart, we find peace in the present moment and release the need to control future outcomes. Ultimately, surrendering to divine will leads us to a state of oneness, a deeper connection to everything around us. We realize that we are not separate from the universe, but deeply intertwined with it. The more we trust the universe's flow, the more we feel that we are being guided, supported, and protected by a force far greater than ourselves. This alignment with the universe is the source of true freedom. When we stop trying to control, we are free to experience life fully, to embrace every moment, and to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. By surrendering personal agendas, we align with the higher purpose of life, where peace, joy, and fulfillment flow naturally. Trusting the universe isn't about passively waiting for things to happen. It's about actively surrendering to life's unfolding, knowing that it's guiding us toward exactly where we need to be. In this trust, we find freedom, clarity, and a deeper connection to our true purpose. Through surrender, we are aligned with divine will, and in this alignment, we find the strength and resilience to meet life's challenges with peace and wisdom. As you surrender to the universe and release the need for control, you may begin to notice something extraordinary happening. The more you let go, the more life starts to flow effortlessly through you. You're no longer pushing against the current, but instead, you're learning to become the current. In this state of surrender, you open yourself up to a higher wisdom, a divine guidance that moves you toward your true purpose. This is where non-resistance becomes truly powerful. By letting go, you allow yourself to become a vessel, a conduit for life's natural flow, and in doing so, you receive guidance from forces greater than yourself. This is not about forcing a path. It's about aligning with a flow that is already leading you exactly where you need to go. When we are caught in resistance, we are essentially shutting ourselves off from life's guidance. We become so focused on controlling our path, on making things happen according to our plans, that we block the flow of wisdom that is always present. But the moment we let go of that need for control, we start to open ourselves to a much deeper level of understanding. Non-resistance is not about passivity. It is an active surrender that makes space for divine guidance. The more we stop forcing our own agendas, the more we align with the natural rhythm of the universe, allowing us to be guided with clarity and confidence. When we stop fighting against life, we begin to see that we are part of something much larger, something that is always guiding us, even when we cannot see it. This divine guidance is available to all of us, but we can only receive it when we are open and willing to let go of our personal will. Becoming a vessel for life's flow means stepping aside and allowing the universe to move through us. It means trusting that the wisdom we need is already inside us, ready to be uncovered when we stop resisting the flow of life. The act of surrendering is not about giving up or being passive. It's about trusting that life knows what's best for us, even when we can't understand the reasons behind what's happening. The more we release resistance, the more we allow ourselves to be led by the unseen forces that are always at work around us. This is where true wisdom lies, not in controlling, but in trusting the flow and becoming one with it. The more we trust, the more we let go of our need to control, the more we begin to feel the divine guidance guiding us toward our true path. One of the key elements in becoming a vessel for life's flow is learning to listen. To listen not just to our own thoughts and desires, but to the quiet whispers of wisdom that come from beyond. These whispers may come as intuition, sudden insights, or even as quiet nudges that guide us to make decisions that feel right, even if we don't fully understand why. The more we surrender, the more we start to trust these intuitive messages, knowing that they are coming from a place of higher wisdom, guiding us toward a life of alignment and purpose. Living in non-resistance also means that we stop fighting against our own inner guidance. So often, we doubt ourselves, second-guess our decisions, or try to force what we think is the right path. But when we let go of resistance, we stop questioning our intuition and start trusting it fully. We allow ourselves to move with confidence, knowing that every step we take is aligned with the flow of life and the wisdom it provides. Surrender creates the space for this trust to grow. The more we surrender, the more we let go of our doubts and fears, the clearer our inner guidance becomes. This process of becoming a vessel is also about releasing attachment to outcomes. We often get caught up in how we think things should unfold, but when we trust the flow of life, we release our attachment to specific outcomes and allow things to unfold as they are meant to. When we are no longer attached to how things should be, we open ourselves to receiving the right answers, the right opportunities, and the right people at the right time. Letting go of control allows us to be more receptive to the guidance that life is constantly offering us, leading us to a place of deeper understanding and alignment. At the heart of becoming a vessel for life's flow is the understanding that we are not separate from the world around us. We are part of a larger system, a web of interconnectedness, and when we align ourselves with the flow of life, we tap into this vast reservoir of wisdom that is available to us. Life is always moving, always evolving, and by surrendering to it, we allow ourselves to be part of that movement. Instead of trying to push life in a direction we think is best, we begin to move with it, trusting that the flow will lead us where we need to go. This trust in the flow also means that we stop fighting against what is. So often, we resist situations, people, and challenges because they don't match our expectations or desires. But when we surrender, we begin to accept things as they are, without judgment or resistance. This acceptance allows us to flow more freely as we no longer try to control or change things. We stop fighting against life and instead start working with it. This doesn't mean that we become passive. It means we become more present, more aware, and more responsive to the guidance life is offering us in every moment. As we continue to trust and surrender, we become more aware of the lessons life offers us. Every challenge, every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to learn, grow, and align more deeply with the flow of the universe. When we resist, we miss the lesson, but when we surrender, we are open to the wisdom that each moment brings. This openness to life's teachings is a key aspect of becoming a vessel for life's flow. We stop resisting the lessons, and instead we embrace them, knowing that each one is guiding us closer to self-realization and alignment with our true purpose. Trusting the flow of life also means trusting that everything has a purpose. The more we surrender, the more we understand that there are no coincidences, no random events. Everything that happens is part of a larger process that is guiding us toward greater understanding. Whether we are experiencing joy or pain, success or failure, we know that everything is part of the divine plan. When we release the need to control, we begin to see that every experience is valuable, every moment is significant, and every step brings us closer to the truth. Becoming a vessel for life's flow doesn't mean we give up our goals or stop striving for what we desire. It means we stop trying to force those desires into being. We learn to trust the timing of life, knowing that everything will come to us when the time is right. we begin to act with greater clarity and purpose, knowing that when we align ourselves with the natural flow, everything we need will be provided in due time. This trust allows us to move forward with ease, knowing that we are being guided every step of the way. Ultimately, the process of surrender and becoming a vessel for life's flow is about letting go of the ego. The ego wants to control, to manipulate, to achieve based on its own desires. But the more we let go of the ego's needs, the more we align with something far greater. When we surrender, we step out of the small self and into the larger self, the part of us that is in alignment with the universe and its divine wisdom. This surrender is not about weakness. It is about strength, the strength to trust that life is unfolding perfectly and that we are exactly where we need to be. As we practice surrender and become more open to the flow, we begin to understand that divine guidance is always available to us. It's not something we have to seek out or force. It's something we must allow ourselves to receive. The more we surrender, the more we open ourselves up to this higher wisdom, and the more we trust that it will guide us to exactly where we need to go. In this process, we become aligned with our true purpose and the divine plan, moving forward with grace and clarity, knowing that we are being supported by the flow of life itself. As you continue to move with life's flow and learn to surrender to its natural rhythm, a deeper truth begins to unfold. Attachment is the root of so much of our suffering. The more we cling to people, possessions, ideas, and even our own identity, the more we bind ourselves to things that are temporary. This attachment creates resistance, pulling us away from peace and alignment. To truly experience freedom, we must learn to let go, not of our values or purpose, but of the need to hold on to things that do not serve us. This is where the profound teachings of non-attachment come in, especially in Buddhism. It is through the practice of non-attachment that we begin to unravel the knots that tie us to suffering and discover the true freedom that comes from being untethered from the world's demands. In Buddhism, non-attachment is not about renouncing the world or becoming indifferent. It's about realizing that clinging to anything, whether it's people, possessions, success, or even our own expectations, creates suffering. When we attach our sense of identity, happiness, or security to external things, we put ourselves on a never-ending cycle of dependence, where we constantly seek validation or fulfillment from things outside ourselves. Non-attachment is about releasing this dependence and recognizing that true peace and fulfillment come from within. The first step in practicing non-attachment is understanding that everything in life is impermanent. The Buddha taught that all things are in a constant state of change, and when we cling to them, we set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a material possession, nothing lasts forever. Yet, we often attach our happiness and sense of self-worth to these temporary things, believing that they will give us lasting satisfaction. The truth, however, is that attachment to impermanent things only leads to suffering. The more we cling, the more we resist the flow of life, and the more we feel the tension of holding on to something that is destined to change. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean we stop caring or stop engaging with the world around us. It means that we stop defining ourselves by what we have or what we do. We begin to detach our happiness from external circumstances and start finding fulfillment in the present moment. Non-attachment teaches us to engage fully with life without trying to control or possess it. Instead of seeking security in external things, we start to seek inner peace and freedom from the attachment to outcomes. This shift allows us to experience life more deeply and with greater clarity, knowing that true happiness comes from within, not from the world around us. One of the key aspects of non-attachment is learning to let go of our expectations. So often, we attach ourselves to certain outcomes, believing that we need specific things to happen in a particular way in order to be happy or successful. But life is unpredictable, and the more we cling to our expectations, the more we create disappointment and frustration. Non-attachment allows us to release the need for things to go exactly as we planned, and instead, embrace whatever comes our way. By letting go of rigid expectations, we open ourselves up to the full range of experiences life has to offer, and we begin to see that every moment, no matter how it unfolds, is an opportunity for growth and learning. Non-attachment is also deeply connected to freedom. When we are attached to something, whether it's a person, a goal, or a particular outcome, we are bound by it. We allow these attachments to dictate our emotions, our decisions, and our sense of worth. But when we practice non-attachment, we free ourselves from these bonds. We stop giving away our power to things outside of ourselves and begin to reclaim our inner strength. This freedom doesn't come from detachment in the sense of shutting ourselves off from the world. It comes from the ability to engage with life fully without being controlled by external circumstances. At the heart of non-attachment is the practice of mindfulness, being fully present in each moment without clinging to it or wishing it away. Mindfulness teaches us to observe life as it is, without judgment or attachment. When we practice mindfulness, we stop attaching labels to our experiences, and instead, we simply experience them as they come. Whether it's a pleasant moment or a difficult one, mindfulness helps us remain grounded in the present without trying to hold on to or escape from what is happening. By cultivating mindfulness, we learn to accept the impermanence of each moment and find peace in the simple act of being fully present. Letting go of attachment also requires us to confront our own fears. Often, we become attached to things because we fear losing them. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or our own sense of identity, we hold on tightly because we believe that without these things, we will be lost or incomplete. But the more we let go of these attachments, the more we realize that our true self is not defined by what we have or what we do. We are whole just as we are, and no external thing can complete us. Letting go of attachment requires a deep level of trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in the process of life, and trust that we are always being guided toward what is best for us. It is only by releasing the grip of attachment that we can fully experience this trust and embrace the freedom it brings. Non-attachment also helps us navigate relationships with greater ease and peace. So often, we become attached to people, expecting them to fulfill our needs or validate our worth. But this type of attachment can lead to codependency, disappointment, and resentment. Non-attachment in relationships doesn't mean that we stop caring about others or that we distance ourselves emotionally. It means that we stop relying on others for our happiness or sense of self-worth. When we let go of the need to control or possess the people in our lives, we can engage with them more freely and authentically. We begin to love without clinging, to give without expecting, and to receive without neediness. This creates deeper, more fulfilling relationships built on mutual respect and freedom, rather than dependence or attachment. The practice of non-attachment is also deeply connected to the Buddhist concept of detachment from the self. So often, we become attached to our identity, to the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we should be. We cling to these identities because they give us a sense of stability and security. But in reality, these identities are just temporary constructs, shaped by our thoughts, experiences, and external influences. Non-attachment helps us let go of these false identities and return to our true essence. By releasing our attachment to the self, we begin to experience a deeper sense of wholeness, a sense of being that is not defined by the labels or roles we play in the world. As we practice non-attachment, we begin to see that true peace comes from within. It's not something we find outside ourselves, it's something we cultivate through our relationship with the present moment. Non-attachment is not about withdrawing from life or becoming indifferent to the world around us. It's about being fully engaged with life without the need to control or possess it. When we let go of our attachments, we become free to experience life as it is, without the filters of desire, fear, or expectation. This freedom allows us to move through life with greater ease, knowing that we are not bound by the things we hold on to. Letting go of attachments doesn't mean that we stop caring or that we become detached from the world. It means that we stop allowing our happiness and peace to be determined by external circumstances. We learn to embrace impermanence, knowing that everything, good or bad, is temporary. This understanding brings us peace because we no longer have to cling to things or fear losing them. Instead, we learn to experience each moment as it comes, without attachment or resistance. Ultimately, non-attachment is about freedom. Freedom from the mental and emotional bonds that tie us to things, to people, and to our own identities. It's about releasing the grip of expectation and trusting that life will unfold exactly as it is meant to. The more we practice non-attachment, the more we realize that we are free to live fully without fear or clinging, and to experience the world as it is without trying to change it. This freedom is the true path to inner peace, as it allows us to connect with life in its purest, most authentic form. As we release the grip of attachment and resistance, we start to notice a powerful shift in how we experience life. Struggles that once felt overwhelming, painful, or pointless begin to take on new meaning. The more we surrender and let go of the need to control, the more we begin to see that our challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. The key to this transformation lies in the practice of letting go. By releasing resistance, we not only ease our suffering, but we also turn our struggles into wisdom. This is the alchemy of life, the ability to transform the lead of difficulty into the gold of insight. When we hold on to resistance, we fight against the natural course of things. Every struggle, every challenge feels like a burden that weighs us down. But as we let go, we shift our perspective. We stop seeing life's difficulties as something to avoid or battle, and instead, we start to see them as moments to learn, reflect, and evolve. This is where true transformation happens. The process of letting go allows us to turn personal struggles into valuable lessons. lessons that shape us, strengthen us, and guide us toward deeper understanding. One of the most profound realizations that comes with letting go is that life's challenges are not personal punishments. They are not signs of failure, nor are they meant to make us suffer. Rather, they are the natural unfolding of life's flow, and every struggle is an opportunity to learn and grow. When we resist these struggles, we block the very wisdom they contain. But when we release that resistance and approach challenges with openness, we begin to see them not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones that move us closer to understanding ourselves and the world around us. This shift in perspective is not always easy, but it is incredibly powerful. Resistance keeps us stuck. It keeps us locked in patterns of fear, frustration, and anxiety. We dwell on what's wrong, on what we don't want, and on what feels out of our control. But when we stop resisting, we open ourselves to the possibility that every experience, every moment of discomfort, holds something valuable for us. It might not always be immediately clear, but the wisdom is there, waiting for us to recognize it. By letting go of resistance, we begin to see our struggles as a natural part of the process, a process that ultimately leads us to deeper wisdom and insight. Letting go of resistance also means releasing the need for things to be perfect. We often get caught up in the idea that everything must align perfectly for us to be happy or successful. This expectation creates stress and dissatisfaction because life, by nature, is messy and unpredictable. But when we let go of the need for perfection, we begin to embrace the imperfections of life. We see that growth and wisdom often emerge from the most unexpected places. The struggles we face are not hindrances to our happiness. They are the very tools that shape us into who we are meant to be. This understanding allows us to transform pain into something useful, something that adds value to our lives. Rather than feeling victimized by our struggles, we can begin to see them as teachers. Each difficulty teaches us something about ourselves, our resilience, our ability to adapt, and our capacity to move through challenges with grace. As we stop resisting, we start to see that our struggles don't define us, they refine us. They are the raw material that, when embraced, is transformed into wisdom. The alchemy of letting go is also about recognizing that nothing is wasted. Even when life feels hard, even when we feel lost or confused, nothing is ever truly lost. Every experience contributes to our evolution. Each challenge, each moment of discomfort, is an opportunity to refine our understanding of life and deepen our connection to our inner wisdom. When we resist, we often become stuck in the idea that we are not where we need to be or that we are failing. But when we let go, we release that judgment and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. Even the things we don't understand at the time will eventually reveal their lessons. This process of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual unfolding that requires patience, openness, and trust. It's easy to get caught up in the desire for quick results, to want to solve everything now and move on to the next thing. But real transformation takes time, and it comes when we are willing to sit with our struggles, to face them without resistance, and to trust that the lessons they hold will reveal themselves in due time. By letting go of the need for immediate answers, we allow the process of growth to happen at its own pace, with trust that every step is leading us toward greater understanding. As we practice the alchemy of letting go, we begin to notice a shift in our energy. We no longer feel bogged down by the weight of resistance. Instead, we feel lighter, more free, more aligned with the natural flow of life. We stop trying to control the outcome and start enjoying the journey. The more we let go, the more we feel a sense of inner peace, a peace that comes from knowing that we are not separate from life, but part of a larger, interconnected whole. We begin to trust that everything we need will come to us in its own time, and in this trust, we find true freedom. This shift also helps us let go of attachment to results. So often, we attach our sense of worth and happiness to outcomes, whether we succeed or fail, whether we get what we want or not. But this attachment to results only creates suffering because outcomes are never guaranteed. The more we hold on to the idea of how things should be, the more we resist the flow of life. But when we release that attachment, we free ourselves from the need to control the future, and we allow life to unfold naturally. By focusing on the present moment, we stop worrying about what comes next, and we begin to experience a deeper sense of fulfillment. Letting go also invites us to become more compassionate with ourselves. So often, we resist our struggles because we believe that we are failing or not doing enough. We become frustrated with ourselves for not being where we think we should be. But the practice of non-resistance teaches us to be kinder, more accepting of where we are in the moment. We stop judging ourselves for our perceived shortcomings and start embracing the process. Self-compassion allows us to face our struggles with gentleness, understanding that each step, no matter how small, is a part of the unfolding process that will eventually lead us to deeper wisdom. This compassionate approach to our struggles also extends to others. As we let go of our own resistance, we become more open and understanding of the struggles others face. We stop judging others for their mistakes or shortcomings, recognizing that we are all on this journey together. This shift in perspective allows us to develop deeper connections with those around us, based not on judgment or expectation, but on empathy and mutual understanding. By practicing the alchemy of letting go, we begin to see that suffering is not something to avoid, but something to embrace. Each moment of struggle, when faced without resistance, becomes a valuable lesson, a stepping stone toward deeper wisdom. We learn that growth comes from discomfort, and that we don't have to avoid pain to live a meaningful life. When we stop resisting our struggles, we open ourselves up to the lessons they hold and the insights they offer. In this way, our struggles become our teachers, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Ultimately, the alchemy of letting go reveals that true freedom is found not in avoiding hardship or seeking comfort, but in embracing the entire process of life, both the highs and the lows. By releasing resistance, we allow ourselves to move with the flow of life, accepting each moment as it comes and trusting that each experience contributes to our growth and transformation. In this way, struggles become opportunities for wisdom, and wisdom becomes the key to living a life of peace, fulfillment, and alignment with the natural flow of the universe. Through surrender, we discover the profound truth that letting go is not a loss, but a gain, the gain of wisdom, freedom, and a deeper connection to our true self. As you continue to experience the flow of life and surrender to its natural rhythms, a deeper transformation begins to occur. You might notice that while you've been letting go of external resistance, there's something even more profound to release: your very sense of self. It's not an easy concept to grasp, especially in a world that constantly reinforces the idea of individual identity, personal achievements, and the ego's desire to control. But true peace and alignment come when we surrender the ego, not as a loss of self, but as a pathway to something much greater. When we trust the flow and transcend the ego's limitations, we find ourselves returning to a more expansive sense of who we truly are, beyond the constraints of personal identity. The ego, as much as it serves us in navigating the world, is also the source of much of our suffering. The ego thrives on separation, constantly defining us in terms of what we have, what we do, and what others think of us. It constantly compares, judges, and seeks validation, always looking outward for confirmation of worth. But as we begin to trust the flow of life and surrender the need for egoic control, we start to realize that these external markers of identity don't define us. The ego, in its need to control, creates distance from our true nature, and it's only through surrendering this false self that we can begin to experience the wholeness that has always been within. When we surrender the ego, we begin to let go of the need to prove ourselves. In a world that constantly tells us we need to do more, be more, and achieve more, letting go of the ego's demands can feel terrifying. But the paradox is that when we stop striving and release the need to assert our identity, we step into a place of deeper authenticity. We no longer need to chase after external validation or recognition. We start to experience life from a place of inner trust, a trust that what we need will come and that we are already enough exactly as we are. This process of surrender is not about self-neglect, nor is it about losing our individuality. Instead, it's about recognizing that we are more than just the sum of our achievements, our roles, and our possessions. We begin to realize that our true self is not the ego, but the deeper, more expansive presence that exists beyond these external identities. This is where trust in the flow becomes powerful. It allows us to transcend the ego and connect with a larger, more universal aspect of ourselves. By surrendering the self, we are returning home to a sense of belonging that isn't tied to external validation, but to the essence of who we truly are. The act of surrendering the self is deeply connected to the practice of non-attachment. As we begin to let go of our attachment to our personal identities, we stop clinging to the roles we play in the world. Whether it's as a parent, a professional, or a friend, these roles can often become part of the false self that the ego creates. But when we surrender these roles and stop defining ourselves by them, we open ourselves to a more fluid and authentic experience of who we are. We begin to experience life without the need for labels or categories, and we start to recognize that our worth is inherent, not dependent on the roles we perform. Surrendering the ego doesn't mean abandoning personal responsibility or our desires. Instead, it means releasing the attachment to the outcome and to the constant need to control. The more we trust in the flow of life, the more we begin to align with our true purpose, one that isn't driven by the ego's need for recognition or success. We start to act not out of fear or egoic desire, but out of a deep sense of trust that life will unfold in its own time and way. This shift from control to surrender allows us to act more freely, with greater clarity and peace. We stop trying to force outcomes and begin to trust that the universe has its own plan for us. As we move deeper into this process of surrender, we begin to see that life's flow is not against us, but is actually guiding us toward what we need. The ego often creates resistance by constantly wanting to control every outcome, but when we let go of that control, we allow life to unfold with ease and grace. The more we trust the flow, the more we realize that we don't have to force things to happen. They will unfold naturally, in their own time, when we are in alignment with our true self. This process of surrendering the self also opens us to a deeper sense of connection with others. When we stop identifying ourselves through the ego, we stop separating ourselves from those around us. The ego thrives on comparison. It constantly measures our worth against others, creating division and distance. But when we surrender the ego and its need to compare, we begin to experience a profound sense of unity with the people and world around us. We stop seeing others as separate from us and begin to recognize that we are all part of the same human experience, all interconnected by the same flow of life. Surrendering the self also allows us to experience greater compassion. The ego tends to be judgmental and self-centered. It places us at the center of the universe, constantly seeking attention, recognition, and validation. But when we let go of the ego's constant need for external approval, we open ourselves to a more compassionate way of being. We stop judging ourselves and others based on superficial qualities, and we start to see the shared humanity in all of us. In this space, we become more empathetic, more understanding, and more open to the needs and feelings of others. Surrendering the self doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming more connected to the soul of life itself, where all beings are seen as equal, worthy, and deserving of love. This journey of surrendering the ego is ultimately a journey of self-liberation. When we let go of the identity that the ego creates, we free ourselves from its constant demands and limitations. We stop being trapped by the need for validation, achievement, and recognition, and instead, we discover the deep peace that comes from just being. We begin to realize that we don't have to do anything to be worthy. We already are. This realization brings freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to pursue our true purpose, and to engage with life without the burden of egoic expectations. As we trust the flow and surrender the ego, we also begin to connect more deeply with our intuition. The ego often clouds our judgment, pushing us toward decisions that are based on fear or desire. But when we release the ego's influence, we can hear the quieter voice of intuition guiding us. This intuition comes from a deeper place within us, one that is connected to the greater flow of life. As we begin to trust this inner guidance, we feel more confident in our decisions, more at peace with our choices, and more in alignment with the path that is meant for us. Surrendering the self and trusting the flow of life ultimately brings us back to a place of wholeness. The ego tends to fragment us, creating a sense of separation from ourselves and the world. But as we let go of these divisions, we reconnect with our true essence. We experience a deep sense of belonging, not because we are validated by the world or by others, but because we recognize that we are already whole, already complete. This is the gift of surrendering the ego. It allows us to move beyond the small self and align with the greater truth that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves. In this alignment, we find a peace that transcends the ego's constant demands and connects us to the flow of life that carries us toward our true purpose. In the end, surrendering the ego is not a loss, but a profound return to our true self. When we release the need for control, when we stop defining ourselves by external labels and achievements, we return home to the essence of who we truly are. In this space, we find the strength, the clarity, and the wisdom to live fully and authentically. Trusting the flow, surrendering the ego, and embracing our true self brings us closer to peace, the peace that comes from letting go and allowing life to unfold naturally, according to a wisdom that is much greater than anything the ego could ever provide. As we surrender the ego and align with the natural flow of life, there's another shift that quietly unfolds, one that often goes unnoticed in the pursuit of change and growth. It's the simple yet profound power of acceptance. This isn't about passive resignation. It's about the quiet strength that comes from truly embracing life as it is, without resistance. Often, we seek to change things, control outcomes, or wish that things were different. Yet, in doing so, we miss the peace that comes from simply accepting the present moment. Acceptance doesn't mean we are indifferent to the world around us. It means we embrace the reality of it, without judgment or fear. When we allow things to be as they are, we open the door to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. In many ways, acceptance is the antidote to the constant struggle and striving that so many of us experience. We are often taught that we must fight for what we want, push against what we don't like, and force life into our desired mold. But in doing this, we create tension, conflict, and exhaustion. Acceptance, on the other hand, is not about ignoring our desires or letting go of our dreams. It's about releasing the need for them to unfold in any particular way. It's about recognizing that the world is constantly shifting, that life is full of uncertainties, and that we cannot control everything. True strength lies in embracing this uncertainty, understanding that peace is found not in resisting life, but in accepting it as it is. When we resist what is happening in the present moment, we are essentially fighting against life's natural flow. This resistance drains us emotionally, mentally, and physically, leaving us feeling frustrated and disconnected. But when we choose to accept the present moment, no matter how difficult or challenging it may be, we stop battling it. In this acceptance, we find a quiet peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. We begin to recognize that we cannot change everything, but we can change how we respond to it. This shift in perspective is where true freedom lies. The freedom to experience life without the weight of constant struggle. The quiet strength of acceptance lies in its ability to bring us back to the present moment. Too often, we get caught up in our worries about the future or regrets about the past, unable to truly experience what is happening right now. Acceptance allows us to release these distractions and fully engage with the present. It teaches us to find contentment in the here and now, rather than waiting for some future event to bring us happiness. When we accept the present, we allow ourselves to fully inhabit it, to be present with everything it has to offer, without the pressure of needing it to be different. Acceptance also opens the door to compassion for ourselves and for others. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We resist parts of ourselves that we deem flawed or insufficient, and this resistance keeps us from experiencing self-compassion. But when we accept ourselves as we are, we release this judgment. We stop demanding perfection from ourselves and start embracing our humanity, our flaws, our mistakes, and our growth. This acceptance creates a space for us to be kinder to ourselves, to offer ourselves the same compassion we would offer a dear friend. And as we extend this compassion to ourselves, we begin to extend it to others as well, seeing them through the same lens of acceptance. This process of accepting life as it is also teaches us the importance of patience. In our fast-paced world, we are conditioned to want everything quickly and immediately. We often rush through life, eager to reach the next milestone, achieve the next goal, or attain the next level of success. But acceptance requires us to slow down and recognize that things unfold in their own time. We cannot rush the process of growth, healing, or change. By accepting life's timing, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with impatience and the pressure to hurry up and achieve. Instead, we learn to trust the process, knowing that everything has its season and that the right things will come to us at the right time. Acceptance also helps us navigate difficult emotions. In life, there will always be moments of pain, disappointment, and frustration. It's natural to want to avoid these emotions, to push them away, or pretend they don't exist. But the more we resist them, the stronger they become. Acceptance teaches us to sit with our emotions without judgment, to feel them fully without fear. This doesn't mean we indulge in negative emotions, but that we allow them to flow through us, knowing that they are part of our human experience. When we accept our emotions as they are, rather than fighting against them, we release their power over us. We stop letting them control our actions and instead allow them to teach us. In this way, acceptance becomes a tool for emotional growth and resilience. The quiet strength of acceptance is also evident in our relationships with others. Often, we resist people's behavior or try to change them to fit our expectations. This creates friction and distance in our relationships. But when we accept people as they are, without trying to force them to be something they are not, we create a space for deeper connection. Acceptance doesn't mean we condone hurtful behavior. Rather, it means that we release our attachment to needing others to be a certain way for us to feel okay. We learn to love and appreciate people for who they are, without judgment. This acceptance fosters a sense of harmony and peace, both within ourselves and in our relationships. Through acceptance, we also learn the art of letting go. So often, we hold on to things, whether it's the past, a grudge, or an idea of how life should be. But holding on to these things only creates stress and limits our ability to move forward. Acceptance teaches us to release what no longer serves us, to let go of the attachment to the past and trust that the present is enough. By letting go, we create space for new possibilities, new experiences, and new growth. We stop clinging to what is familiar and step into the freedom that comes with trusting life as it is. This freedom that comes from acceptance also brings with it a profound sense of inner peace. When we stop fighting against life, we stop creating internal conflict. Instead, we start to feel at ease with ourselves and the world around us. We stop worrying about what's out of our control and focus on what we can change, our thoughts, our reactions, and our ability to stay present. This peace isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's a state of being that comes from within. Acceptance allows us to let go of the tension and struggle that we create when we resist life. It is through acceptance that we find the calm and stillness that resides beneath the noise of daily life. Moreover, accepting life as it is enables us to embrace change. Life is in a constant state of flux, and resistance to change only causes suffering. When we accept that everything is temporary, we stop fighting against the natural flow of life. We begin to see change not as a threat, but as a necessary part of growth. Acceptance allows us to flow with life's changes, knowing that nothing remains the same and that every new phase brings new opportunities for growth and learning. It's through this embrace of change that we come to understand the true impermanence of life and the freedom that comes with it. Through acceptance, we also come to understand the importance of gratitude. When we accept life as it is, we begin to see the blessings in every moment, whether it's a challenge, a setback, or a joyous experience. Gratitude emerges naturally when we stop focusing on what's wrong and start focusing on what's right. We begin to appreciate the present moment for what it is, rather than wishing for something different. This gratitude brings a sense of peace as we learn to appreciate life's richness, even in its simplest forms. Ultimately, the quiet strength of acceptance is about finding peace in the present. It's about letting go of the need to change, control, or judge life, and instead embracing it exactly as it is. When we accept life's ebb and flow, its unpredictability, and its imperfections, we free ourselves from the constant struggle. In this freedom, we find a sense of belonging, not just to the world around us, but to ourselves. Acceptance leads us back to our true essence, where we no longer define ourselves by external conditions, but by our inner peace and understanding. Through this process of acceptance, we discover that life, in all its forms, is exactly as it should be, and in this realization, we find profound fulfillment and joy. As we journeyed through the powerful teachings of Buddhism, one truth becomes clear. When we stop resisting, life's flow carries us home. Each lesson, from surrendering to the natural rhythm of life to trusting the universe and transcending the ego, all point toward the same core principle: trust. Trust that by letting go of control, we align ourselves with a higher wisdom, one that guides us toward inner peace, purpose, and true freedom. As we learned, non-resistance doesn't mean passivity. It means embracing life fully, without the weight of resistance, expectation, or attachment. The more we trust the flow, the more we unlock the strength, wisdom, and peace that already reside within us. The path to peace is not found through struggle, but through surrender. Surrendering the self, trusting the process, and allowing life to unfold in its own time. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How has letting go and trusting life's flow impacted your journey? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. Your story could be the spark someone else needs to begin their own path to trust. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us on this continuous exploration of wisdom, peace, and personal growth. Let's keep flowing together.